I'm Eliana Smith, Delaware Tech Vice President and Owens Campus Director, and it is my joy to welcome you to the Sussex County Today and Tomorrow Conference. It's great to see so many friends together in this room. Joe Conaway told me that this is like Thanksgiving. You just have it on your calendar and you know to be here on that last Wednesday in October. It's a great habit that we have here in Sussex County. This is a great place to be because it's a place where people care. People care about our county, people care about our state, and people here know that working together is the way to get things done. Now raise your hand if this is your first conference. Wow, welcome. Let me tell you that we start on time, we end on time, and we work you in between. We engage you in thinking and in talking with each other. And let us now begin by focusing on what this is all about, our great county. And we'll begin with remarks by our County Council President, Mike Vincent.
Good morning. I'm a little concerned that Dr. Smith will listen to Joe Conaway. Not a good way to start the day off, I don't think. How many of you, by show of hands, live in Sussex County? Wow, great, great, great. For the rest of you, I'm very sorry. But hopefully you'll get a chance to move down here sometime. On behalf of the council, I want to welcome everybody here. This is a great conference. I'd like to thank Dr. Smith, Dr. George, and Delaware Tech for hosting this, putting it together with your committee. It's a great thing. I think the people, your best asset, is a great thing. I learned many, many years ago as a fire chief, just like Representative Short was, that we have all the fire trucks in the world and all the nice technology, but if you haven't got people that you can count on, you can't get much done. And I think at the county level, we certainly have good people, and we understand, the council does, that never be ashamed to surround yourself with people smarter than you are. In our case, most of them are smarter than the council probably, but we've done that with Todd Lawson and Gina Jennings, our finance director, and you need good people. Good people make good things happen and make you look good. Anyway, if you've heard enough from me, thank you for coming. Enjoy your day here, and those who don't live here, see a real estate agent. Probably Joe Conaway will get you something sold down here.
Let me talk to you a little bit about the conference itself. The conference and the purpose of it is to build an active community in the efforts that produce things of lasting importance for our county. This conference works because this county works. We have the ability to come together and work things out. Our closeness and sense of family are Sussex County assets that we all treasure. Today's fast-paced agenda will inform your thinking, give you ideas for the future, and open up possibilities for connections. It will be up to each of us, individually and as organizations, to act on the information. The topic, as Mike said, for this year is people, your most valuable asset. We think we have a very practical and relevant topic. It grew out of a previous conference when the issue was raised that an employer could not find the people he wanted to hire. So we asked, why could that happen? Is the education and training not available to prepare people for certain jobs? Is the job not being properly advertised to get the desired people to apply? Is the employer expectation not aligned with the pay being offered? Is the employer properly marketing and advertising the benefits of the job? We have designed a conference agenda to get at the answers. If there is a misalignment in our county between jobs and job seekers, we want to identify the issues. To do that, we will focus on human resources. Our presenters and panels will take you to the world of hiring from the perspective of the employers, and to the world of the job seekers from the perspective of the preparation that people are getting in our county to be hired. One of the panelists told us that interviewing is like courting, and hiring is marriage. So we want there to be great matches being made in our county. Both sides can benefit from good communication and clear expectations. Would it surprise you to know jobs are available in our county, and there are prepared job seekers ready to be hired? Would it surprise you that some job postings out there are far from clear? We hope that you will have many aha moments today, and we hope that ideas will spark your interest and your action. One such idea that we ran across in preparing for the conference was the creation of a job board aggregator that could offer county employers an affordable way to advertise Sussex jobs in one place that people could readily access. I'm sure that many more ideas are going to come out of today. In what you take away from this conference, we want you to have as fuel for action the models that our presenters will give you. We challenge each of us to think and each of us to act. Let me draw attention to the conference sponsors. They are listed on the banners in the room, in our conference website, in your workbooks, and they're real evidence of this county's collaborative spirit. Time doesn't permit me to introduce them individually, but I would like you, if you are a member of any sponsoring organization, to stand together so we can recognize you. Come on, don't be shy. Stand. Thank you for your support. Another impressive example of collaboration is the conference planning team. My fellow conference planners and their organizations are listed in your workbook. These dedicated and talented individuals represent business, education, and government, and I'd like them to stand as a team and be recognized. Team. And a great big thank you to the Owens campus staff for today's preparation and technical support. We really appreciate your work, guys. Thank you. And let us now go from our county to your community college. Delaware Tech is very proud to provide leadership for this event. The college's mission is to be responsive to the workforce needs of our state by providing the needed education and training, and to provide you an update on how the college is addressing the workforce needs of our county. It is my pleasure to introduce an outstanding leader, Delaware Tech's President, Lonnie George.
Thank you, Eliana. Good morning, everyone. Well, you know, when Mike was talking about hiring those smarter than you, one day at one of my cabinet meetings at the college, I walked in. Does anybody read Dilbert, the cartoon Dilbert? well, I hadn't until that morning. There in my, where I sit was the morning cartoon for Dilbert. And cartoon went something like this. The first frame said, you know, quoting the president, "I only hire people smarter than me." And the next frame was the vice president. And he said, "I only hire people smarter than me." And the next frame was, you know, the manager. "I only hire people smarter than me." And the last frame was Dilbert scratching his head saying, "That means the dumbest person in this company is our president." You gotta laugh at it. You gotta laugh at it. Well, folks, welcome, welcome, a warm welcome to the Owens campus of your nationally recognized award-winning community college, providing access to education for more than 7,000 students just this semester. There is so much to be proud of here at Owens under the leadership of our Vice President and Campus Director, Dr. Ileana Smith, and our great team of faculty and staff. Thank you so much, Ileana, for your leadership. Also joining us this morning from the colleges, Dr. Mark Brainerd. Mark, would you stand? Mark recently served as Vice President and Campus Director for our Stanton and Wilmington locations before being appointed in June as the college's new Executive Vice President. I know many of you know Mark and have worked with him in the past, but if you haven't, I hope you'll take a moment this morning to introduce yourself. Well, I'm very pleased once again to see legislators, elected officials, leaders of business, education, healthcare, and communities throughout Sussex County. And I want to take a moment to recognize those elected and appointed officials. I'm going to ask them to please stand and remain standing. I'm going to introduce them in groups, and then we can recognize them by group. From our state government, from the State Senate, Gary Simpson, Bob Venables. From the State House, Ruth Briggs King, Ron Gray, Harvey Kenton, Danny Short, and Dave Wilson. Thank you so much for your service to the people of Sussex County and this great state. Joining us later will be Cabinet Secretary Alan Levin. From our good friends from Sussex County government, Mike Vincent, President of County Council, Joan Deaver, Member of Council, and Todd Lawson, County Administrator. Thank you so much for all of your support. At Delaware Tech, we have a legacy society, folks who have given more than $50,000 to the college, and I want to recognize them here today. Anise and Sue Saliba, and Sue is also a trustee of the college, and Lynn Fawcett. Thank you very much for your generosity. Please stand. And folks who work tirelessly for the college, our Owens Campus Development Council, Marlene Elliott Brown, Peg Hertrick, Stell Parker Selby, Rob Ryder, Sue Saliba, and Leighton Wheeler. Thank you again for everything that you all do to help the college. Now, folks, I know that you understand the protocol of recognizing elected and appointed officials, but the fact of the matter is every one of you is recognized for your presence here and your dedication to the well-being of this great county and our state. Once again, Delaware Tech is proud to host the Sussex County Conference, now in its 20th year. Each year, this conference showcases issues of economic importance for the county, and this year's theme, People, Your Most Valuable Asset, is a very timely one. Here at Delaware Tech, we know the struggles that employers have in finding employees who can hit the ground running on the first day of the job. And it's our mission to ensure that our graduates can do just that. Now, how do we make sure that our graduates have the competencies that our employers need? We do it through our advisory committees. Currently, there are over 1,000 business and industry experts serving on Delaware Tech's advisory committees. In fact, some of you sitting here in the audience today are members of the committees, and the college is very grateful to you for your service. These committees meet regularly with college department chairpersons, instructors, deans to review curricula, arrange internships for students, and ensure that Delaware Tech graduates have the knowledge and skills necessary for immediate entry into their chosen careers. Sometimes our advisory committees recommend the discontinuation of a program. Sometimes they recommend changing a program to better meet the needs of employers, and they always play a significant role in the development of new programs. We listen closely to them in order to keep a finger on the pulse of workforce needs. Now, the college's Center for Industry Research and Workforce Alignment, known as CIRWA, is providing us with additional tools and resources to reach out to greater numbers of employers than ever before. By doing in-depth interviews with employers, researchers, industry experts, and economic leaders, and by surveying hundreds of companies, not just in Delaware, but in the 10 surrounding counties, the center is taking a much broader and deeper approach to labor market research. As a result, we believe our graduates will be better prepared to meet the needs of the employers who want to hire them. Take, for example, building automation systems. Building automation systems. In 2012, the center's first labor market study on the energy industry revealed that there was an unmet need for technicians who could manage building automation systems. Now, these are the centralized networks that monitor and control the environment in commercial buildings, thereby reducing energy costs. The center then conducted a follow-up survey of 175 companies, enabling us to drill down even further so that we can respond to the specific needs of those employers and ensure graduates are job ready. We're now working on putting together such a program. This fall, the center also partnered with Governor Markell's Delaware STEM Council, the STEM Council, Science, Technology, Engineering, and Math, to take an in-depth look at mechanical and electrical engineering technology jobs in the region. This time we reached out to over 11,000 employers for their input in order to better understand the workforce need. And the final report will be available to the public in December. You can learn more about the center's workforce development initiatives on our website, dtcc.edu. Now, like I always do, I'd like to update you on a few other programs that are important to Sussex County's economy. First, in the area of nursing, the county's 3 major hospitals, Beebe, Bay Health, and Nanticoke, all great partners, folks, absolutely great partners, have representatives serving on our nursing and allied health advisory committees. In addition, each provides clinical opportunities for our students, so it's not surprising that Beebe, Bay Health, and Nanticoke are 3 of the largest employers of our Owens campus graduates. These employers know that our graduates are job ready. As you may know, the college has been responsive to the state's nursing shortage by expanding our program in 2002 with funding from the state, and most recently by building 8 new science labs college-wide, labs that will reduce the wait time for science courses needed by our nursing students. And the college and our students are most grateful to our state legislators and our governor for supporting these science labs. The Owens campus science labs are now complete and are serving an additional 2,000 science students annually. But while we've doubled the number of nurses entering the workforce since 2002, it's taken many of our graduates more than 2 years to complete their degree. So in response, and with money from a federal grant, we've redesigned our nursing curriculum and will begin offering a new accelerated version of the program in January for full-time students. This is good news for the state's healthcare employers and good news for our nursing students, for our graduates are earning an average starting salary of more than $50,000 annually. Another program that we've accelerated in order to meet workforce needs is aviation maintenance. And yes, folks, Delaware has a thriving aviation industry. As you know, in response to companies like Pat's Aircraft, we developed an FAA-certified program here at the Owens campus that prepares students to maintain the shell of a plane, or what's called the airframe. Now we're in the process of adding power plant to teach students to maintain the engine. Offering both airframe and power plant give our graduates more opportunities to work for companies seeking both sets of skills. Today I'm pleased to report that the FAA will be arriving at our new power plant facility in just a few days to conduct its official inspection, and we're on track to begin the program in January. This would not have been possible without several key partners, and I want to recognize them here right now. To Sussex County Council, who donated the land, thank you, Mr. President, members of council, to Todd. To the United States Department of Labor, who financed the equipment through a grant. A private donor who paid for the cost of the instructional facility. And most recently, Alan Levin and our partners at DIDO, who recognized the growing need for a skilled aviation force in the state and the region. They provided us with a $550,000 grant to help accelerate and double the size of the program. Even though Alan isn't here, I know his team is here, so I'm going to say thank you, Alan. We'll now be able to graduate 24 students skilled in both airframe and power plant every year. And these are jobs paying $18 to $21 per hour to start. So folks, they are good paying manufacturing jobs. Finally, in the area of entrepreneurship. Entrepreneurship is another program that is helping launch careers thanks in part to some great things happening right here at the Owens campus. For our degree-seeking students, the Owens campus has developed Java 101, a campus coffee shop that serves as a learning lab for budding entrepreneurs to learn the ins and outs of owning their own business. The Owens campus has also recently been selected by the Kauffman Foundation as the only community college in the nation to host a national initiative called 1 Million Cups. You'll learn more about this in just a few minutes. So those are just some of the things going on. I could probably take the whole morning to talk about more initiatives, but my thanks to each of you for your attendance at today's conference. I've seen the list of panelists, and I know that your time will be well spent as you work together to find ways to strengthen the economy of Sussex County. I know you all feel very fortunate to be a part of Sussex County, and this county is indeed fortunate to have each of you as its leaders. My very best wishes for a successful conference. Thank you.
Thank you. You know, this year is a very special conference year as we celebrate our 20th anniversary. To celebrate, we wanted to take a look back, a retrospective. But you know, it didn't feel right to stand here and just give you a summary of 20 years of presenters and topics. This special gathering that has endured 2 decades deserved more. So to co-present this conference retrospective, I have Dr. Bill McGowan, my fellow planning team member and University of Delaware Extension educator for community development. He has played a vital part of this collaboration from the early years. Bill?
Thank you, Ileana. And before I go any further, thank you. It's been enjoyable working with you over the 20 years this conference has spanned.
You too.
So to kind of get our heads around what 20 years is like, we invited two good friends to sit down and reflect with us about the conference. And I'd like to thank Dennis Forney, publisher and co-owner of the Cape Gazette, for his wisdom, his insight, and faithfully attending over the years. And thanks to John Donato. John, are you here? Oh, stand up, John. All right, cool. John is artist and Imaginarian for Lead Your Way Solutions. And what John's role was to sit there and kind of take that conversation and turn it into a visual representation of 20 years. I think Dennis referenced that in the blog, so Dennis will be able to check to see if John did get that done. And that's what you see in front of you. You each have one of these take-homes. I don't know how John does it, but he does it. That's 20 years worth of work summarized in an 8.5 by 11 in your chart. So thank you, John. Thank you, Dennis. Special thanks to Fulton Bank and PNC Bank for sponsoring John's work. Ileana?
John's artwork is in the shape of a spiral. I know there's a lot on that drawing, but if you look at those lines, you'll see a spiral coming out. And that shape is inspired by nature. It is a nautilus shell. The nautilus is the perfect symbol for the conference. It made us focus on the heart of the conference, the center of the nautilus from which the spiral unfolds. The enduring core is the environment of the conference, one of trust, one of hope, where friends come together to think, to learn, and to grow possibilities, using the power of our interdependent connections. It is that core that gives this conference its uniqueness, its strength, its ability to have positive impact, and its ability to endure. At the core of that nautilus are four things. One, trust, built over time as we opened ourselves to new information, to perspectives different from our own, and as we saw issues as opportunities to work together and improve. Number two, friends. You can feel the caring and the warmth in this room. Relationships have been built, support is given and received. We call on each other for advice, for help. People are respected and valued. Number three, action. Think, learn, do. All verbs, all actions that define our purpose. We are open to think together, learn from each other, and be moved to act for the good of our community. We're about action, empowered by information and fueled by the ability to get more done together than we can alone. And number four, hope, the great motivating force that makes us believe that yes, we can. It helps us not to dwell on problems, but to seek solutions. It helps us to focus on the success stories around us, and from them we draw inspiration and we connect the dots to shape our future. The journey to crystallize this integrated framework was an evolution. So we want to take you on a quick trip. Bill?
So we're going to do this in kind of three phases: the early years, the growth years, and hopefully the adult years, all right? How many of you have children under 15? How many of you have children over 15? All right. The reason I used 15 is when I joined the Business and Education Conference, as we called it back then, my son, Dan, was 13, my daughter was 15. And if I recall, I think Ileana's 2 kids, Matt and Mike, 2 of 3, were about the same age. So the conference back then, as it is now, it's about our children. In our first years, we focused on business and education. Are our school systems adequate? Do we have the right mix of business that creates jobs to help our children stay in Sussex if they choose? Are business and education talking and listening to each other? Well, 20 years later, guess what? The kids have grown up, we have grandchildren, and you know what? Those same issues drive this conference today. It's a continual conversation. In our formative years, we began to stretch. We looked at issues we face as a community, a changing landscape, retirees, jobs, healthcare. We introduced business tools to the conference. So I'm going to take you back here. Does anybody remember doing a SWOT analysis in which you examine your strengths, your weaknesses, your opportunities, and threats? We placed attendees in several make-believe roles. One included a poultry executive stuck in traffic because of a changing landscape. The other one was you were appointed to a special committee to consider a county-wide school district that met out of state because of the sensitive nature of this issue. You got to stretch, and we tried to make you stretch. We used scenario planning to consider 3 possible futures for Sussex and what it would take to make one or a combination of those scenarios real. We introduced deliberative discussion and this notion of coming to public judgment around a difficult issue as we considered how towns in the county interact. Because you know what? Solid communities know how to talk to each other about difficult issues. We really stretched when we focused on growth. Over a period of 3 years, 2001 to 2003, we pushed hard. And we brought to the conference the opportunity to look at this county using demographics, visuals, and our audience response system. I actually had one of our clickers in my car and forgot to bring it in, but does everybody remember the audience response systems? All right, who wants to be a millionaire? We presented growth using a Monopoly game theme, if you remember Mr. Moneybags. 3 counties in one, the notion of a rural west, a central mixing Carter, and a retiree population on the east. Panelists gave their opinions, and we polled you using our audience response system. What do you think about this? We used John Inkster, I don't know if you remember this, his amazing collection of aerial photographs, archival, dating from 1920 to all the way up to the present, that illustrate this changing landscape. We used the Community Viz software to show you a representation of the Henlopen region built out to 2030. We offered you the opportunity to develop a vision, a compelling mental image of a desired future for this county. We all know when you talk about growth, and growth presents both opportunity and challenge, and we did create controversy. However, challenges are opportunities in disguise. So our formative years grounded us in what the community valued in the conference: a place to gather, a place to think, to learn, and to do. We entered our second decade of conferencing, we'll call these the adult years, by introducing purpose and principles. This conference is about all of us engaging the public work of Sussex County, building things of lasting importance together. And we do that by focusing on issues, bringing your friends and neighbors to the conference to talk about how they work through the issue, and challenge you that if you hear something that strikes you, you go do something and tell us about it. Kudos to Patty Grimes and others who heard something here and formed the Sussex Economic Development Action Committee, an organization focused on strengthening our economy. Our conferences in 2004 and 2007 focused on economic development. The workbook in 2006 pretty much contained a rather solid toolbox for budding entrepreneurs. And in 2007, As you know, we were well into tough times, but the conference theme was community collaboration, getting it done. Like all solid communities in hard times, you look to each other for support and solutions. Over the last 10 years, we've looked at healthcare, small business, agriculture, tourism, entrepreneurship, and how you make a go of it in tough times. We've heard many heartfelt stories, and I personally still use Laura Hill's story about her life as a farmer when I meet folks who want to understand what agriculture means to those who till the land. And I don't know if you remember, but Mike Covey Car Care, gave us one of the conference's great moments. When asked about a very good employee who may not have had the best people skills, Mike calmly replied, "We keep him in the back." Stories make things real, and we have plenty of them. The one piece that has remained consistent over 20 years is the wonderful presentations of our demographic data. Dr. Jim McFadden and Ed Simon worked hard at looking at data and putting it together to give us a snapshot of where we are and how we are doing. And we quickly found out that you do not tinker with this segment of the conference. However, much to my chagrin, I did learn in our conversation with Dennis and John that the piece we call table work, the piece that I argue for every year, is considered by some like eating Brussels sprouts or broccoli. We still have work to do here. We have spent 20 years telling stories, thinking, learning, and doing. It's a great place to be the last Wednesday in October. And why is that? Over the years, a wonderful group comes together every month to work on this conference. Many thanks to those who have served over the years on the planning committee. The work has created friendships and good conversation, and we always try to bring to the community a well-rounded perspective and data on the challenging issues we face. And let me say that we refuse to have twilight years. We have too much invested and too good a vehicle to see this conference end. So it's all up to you to nurture and sustain what we have.
We threatened Bill that he couldn't go off on a tangent, and I think he listened well and stayed the course to tell the journey. Using the wisdom that 20 years has given us, we can see this conference collaboration in terms of the who, the what, the how, and the when. The who are the stakeholders, all of us. We all have a stake in the future of our county. We are the members. We are all needed. We can all act, and we can all lead. The what are the many themes or topics the conference presents. We evolved through an identity crisis in the title of the conference. We called it Education and the Economy, Business and Education, Classroom and the Workforce. We evolved until we got to the what being our county, its present and its future. And that includes all the topics that impact the reality, which is rooted in economics and grounded in education. The how is the format of this half-day venue. We have evolved through joint sessions, breakout sessions, experts from the outside, policy, statistics, presentations, discussion, table work, audience response, and the showcase of the experts among us, our friends and neighbors, telling their stories and giving us insights about what works and where the issues are. The when is that every year the conference program is time-sensitive, time-specific, reflecting where we are. It's a point in time in the life of our county where we learn about present happenings that are relevant, and it's a time to see opportunities that take us from today to tomorrow.
Let's conclude this retrospective in keeping with our conference theme of people. Just like for companies and organizations, people are the conference's greatest asset. And we'd like to honor 4 conference collaborators who are here in year 1 and are here in year 20. They are wonderful examples of the dedicated people who have given their time and talent to making this conference a success. So I will just hold your applause until we get them all up front. Frank Callio, retired former Sussex County Economic Development Director. Please come forward. Leighton Wheeler, Vice President, Delaware Electric Cooperative. Margot Kia, citizen. And Dr. Jim McFadden, retired, former Director of Labor Market Information, Delaware Department of Labor. Please come forward and receive your Nautilus.
One final reflection. This 20-year retrospective gives us two gifts: a wonderful piece of artwork to remember the parts of our journey, and an appreciation for the conference culture, the core of the Nautilus, which is an inheritance to value and respect. It is a culture of friends, trust, hope, and action. It is a culture that we want to pass on. We believe that it is this culture that can sustain the conference as a vehicle to improve our county for the next 20 years. Thank you. All right, at this point on our agenda, we might have to change the agenda, I think. Has Alan arrived? Okay, all right, so we will move things around slightly. And we're going to move to, well, it's almost 9 o'clock, so it's something that happens at 9 o'clock every Wednesday at Delaware Tech. So that's the time for 1 million cups. So for the next 45 minutes, the conference is going to break with our format and our regular theme for today, and we're going to participate in an exciting and very powerful national movement. And let me introduce the college's organizer for 1 million cups, Chris Moody. He is our Director of Corporate and Community Programs.
Good morning, everyone. This is a great opportunity for me to share a little bit about 1 million cups with you. But first, I have a question for you. Please raise your hand if you've ever shared an idea with someone over a cup of coffee or tea. Thank you. As you probably have noticed, the majority of the 400 people in this room have done that at one time or another. This is also very common for entrepreneurs to do. Entrepreneurs meet weekly, they have a cup of coffee, and they share their ideas about a new business with one another. However, it's a little fragmented, and by that what I mean is entrepreneurs are meeting at a coffee shop locally with one or two other people. What is missing from this is an opportunity for everyone to come together and share all of these wonderful ideas with everyone in the community. Nate Olson from the Kauffman Foundation recognized this. So he wanted to start a program that would allow entrepreneurs to come together weekly and to share all of our ideas with everyone from the community and also other entrepreneurs. So he started a program called 1 Million Cups. And the idea behind 1 Million Cups is, as you probably have guessed, everyone is usually sitting around having a cup of coffee, so he started the program 1 Million Cups. And the 1 Million Cups format is very simple. Every week, 9 a.m. local time at a specific location, two entrepreneurs have the opportunity to meet and share their share a little bit about their business with other entrepreneurs and members of the community. They have 6 minutes to present, and then that is followed up with a 20-minute Q&A from the audience. This is done nationally, 9 a.m. local time. After hearing about this initiative, we knew we needed to bring this to Delaware and put Delaware on the map. So after several months of dialogue with Nate and the Kauffman Foundation, and the support from Dr. George, Dr. Brainerd, Dr. Smith, and also from the Sussex Economic Development Action Committee, we launched 1 Million Cups Delaware here at the Owens campus in July. And since then, it has been fantastic. Since beginning of July, every week at the Student Services Building, we have 2 entrepreneurs that present their business at 9 a.m., and we've been doing that since July. And today, the Kauffman Foundation informed me that they are launching their 20th location. So you probably could figure this out, that now there are 40 businesses every week that have the opportunity nationally to share about their business. And this is very powerful because what's happening is it's creating this network and culture for entrepreneurs. So if you live in Kansas City and you move to Delaware, one of the problems is historically people don't know one another. So now 1 Million Cups Delaware, if you're in Kansas City, you know you can come to Delaware and you know 1 Million Cups is here. This gives you the opportunity to come and present and meet your fellow entrepreneurs and then also members from the community. So if you take a look at the screen, please, you'll see our website. It is the 1 Million Cups website, 1millioncups.com. And as you can see, there's a counter going about all of the cups of coffee that are being consumed daily over an idea. If you scroll down a little bit on the screen, you can see that we're in very good company with other cities and states, and you can see Delaware there, beautiful picture of the Indian River Inlet Bridge. If you click on Delaware, you'll see the local 1 Million Cups Delaware webpage. This is an important page for us and our community. If you scroll down just a little bit, there's an option there for you to request to present and if you would like to attend. And then you can also see each week who the presenters will be. As you can see, Dogfish and eRevolution Ventures will be presenting today. If you scroll down a little bit more, you can see who the organizers are. And if you continue to scroll, you'll see all of the past presenters. This is a critical piece for us because what is happening here is all of these businesses, when they come and present here at Delaware Tech, so many people now are learning more about these local businesses. And one of the things that I have the pleasure of hearing about is some of these presenters have contacted me and said, what a great initiative this is. They're starting to hear about other entrepreneurs. They're connecting with them. Members in the audience are learning about these businesses. So they are now going to some of these businesses for their services, their restaurants. So you can see this is a very simple format, but it's extremely powerful. It's creating a network of entrepreneurs nationally. And I'm excited to share that we were number 10 to partner with the Kauffman Foundation. And as Dr. George mentioned, we are the only community college nationally to partner with the Kauffman Foundation. Very proud of that. So, without further ado, I'd like to introduce our first entrepreneur, Mariah Calagione from the Dogfish Inn. Mariah?
Good morning. I'm here to talk today about a startup that we have that we're just getting started on in downtown Lewis. It is a 16-room motel. We actually purchased the motel about 2 weeks ago and are hoping to go under renovations as soon as we get through the city process of architecture review and open by next summer if all works well in the construction process. So as I was walking in here, I ran into someone who shall remain nameless who said to me, are you guys crazy? That's like, besides a restaurant, that's the worst business to get into. And I said, well, we have a restaurant too. So yes, we might be a little bit crazy, and we really don't know yet what we're doing, because we've never been in the hotel business. But so we sort of got into this over not a cup of coffee, but actually a glass of beer, shockingly. I was sitting in Touch of Italy in Lewis, right across the street from this said motel, and the owner was telling me how the business was up for sale, and it had been for a little bit of time, and completely unaware of that. So I'm sitting with 2 or 3 friends, and we're having some beers, waiting for the Lewis Christmas parade to start. And so one by one, we sort of walked over there and walked around the property, and was like, this is kind of a cool space, a neat property, and sort of that's how the ball got rolling in our minds. Why do we want to get into the hotel business? First of all, we have been working with local hotels for years and years and years. We opened in 1995, and we have visitors come to our restaurant in Rehoboth and the brewery in Milton throughout the year. Some of those visitors have been able to participate in a program we've been running with the Inn at Canal Square in Lewis called the Dogfish 360-Degree Experience, which involves the brewery tour, a kayak tour, a trip up and down the canal from Lewis to Rehoboth, sort of a dinner at the brew pub, the hotel room, of course. So we've been doing that with them, with the hotel, for a number of years, but it's unfortunately just one person or one group a weekend. So we thought this would be an opportunity to not only expand on giving more people a broader Dogfish experience when they visit, but also to take advantage, to sort of take care of some of our guests that are coming here. So far this year, I got this number yesterday and it kind of depressed me, but so far this year, we have paid for 2,122 nights in local hotel rooms for guests of our brewery coming to Sussex County. So, if we had a hotel, that would be 132 nights of full occupancy. Now, granted, some of those were all on one day. Our annual wholesaler conference brought in over 100 hotel rooms in one night. We also have a couple events throughout the year that do bring in multiple hotel rooms. So, but even if we take out what our biggest group of that is, are actually vendors that come to install equipment. So anyway, so take that out, we still have almost 300 nights a year just for visitors and guests that we are bringing to the area, not to mention people who are coming from, last quarter we had 12,358 people take tours of our Milton Brewery from 29 states, Washington, D.C., and 3 different countries. That, of course, is our busiest quarter, being it's summer, but we run our tour program throughout the year. So anyway, the goal is to, for some of those visitors, if they would choose to do so, to give a sort of a more thorough Dogfish experience for their visit to Sussex County. Of course, our first challenge, besides getting the building, the first challenge will be to build the team. So we do have a posting for an off-centered innkeeper, and we've been getting some great resumes from around the area, around the country. So, but that's what we're going to spend the next month or 2 really focused on, is getting the right team in place. You know, we know we have to have the right people to run this with us, so we are working on that. And then we're also working on sort of design and build out and all that stuff. So I think that's sort of what the idea is, what the goal is. We have a lot of questions ourselves, like what are we doing? But you know, we'll get through that, and I'm sure we'll make plenty of mistakes along the way, and learn from them, hopefully. So I don't know if anyone has questions or others.
At this time, we will go ahead and take questions. So please raise your hand if you have a question for Mariah. We have about 15 minutes designated for this. So just let me know, and there are people walk around the room with a microphone if you have any questions for Mariah about her new adventure. Any questions? Come on now. I know there's got to be a question.
sugarcoating. I'd like to be there. The councilwoman.
Well, Sam says April, I say June, so we'll see. Might be August.
What countries do you have the most visitors from?
Canada, because they can more easily get here, but this summer we also had guests that registered for our tours. We do recommend registering online to save a space for a tour. And of the ones that registered, it was Canada, Australia, and I forget what the other one in this last quarter was, but.
Any other questions?
Mariah, it's good to be here today with you.
Thank you.
Dogfish, of course, has the reputation of being an off-centered operation. And there's motels, and there's motels, and there's motels. How do you see the Dogfish Inn distinguishing itself as an off-centered operation?
Actually, although that would be nice. There will be no beer on site. We are not getting licensing for, to sell or serve beer on the premises, because there's a lot of great places that people can walk to from the motel that do already serve our beer and sell our beer, including 2 or 3 package stores and about at least a dozen or so restaurants. So we will have glassware in their rooms, and we'll have a bottle opener in their rooms, but they will not have trouble finding the beer. And I would also guess that many of them might come to the brewery or the restaurant during their visit and sample some there. But in terms of setting us apart, one of the biggest sort of eye-openers is the people that are coming to the area and staying and giving us feedback are usually quite amazed and impressed about sort of how great Sussex County is. They didn't know. They might have come here for the brewery tour on their way through, and particularly the ones that we are able to get out on the water, on the canal, going from Lewis to Rehoboth. Through the kayak tours, we partner with Quest Fitness on that. They just had no idea that that this sort of coastal Delaware was, such a great destination, and a lot of them say they'll be back. So I guess our goal is to sort of not have people hang out too much in their hotel rooms, and sort of get them out throughout Sussex County with, some of the local businesses that we've partnered with over the years, and hopefully even more.
Hey, Maria, how you doing?
Good.
Talked to Sam at the Delaware Restaurant Association Boshi tournament, and I thought it'd be interesting if you tell the folks what that philosophy is around the off-centered innkeeper you're looking for, meaning what that off-centered issue means to Dogfish Head.
Right.
I thought that was an interesting conversation.
Well, I don't want to steal Cindy's thunder, who will be on a panel later, but Cindy's our HR manager. But for us, the biggest challenge in hiring is a cultural fit. We are going to assume you have a skill set, and we're going to assume that you have the experience based, from what we see on paper, phone interviews, all that stuff. But so our challenge is always sort of, can you hang out with us, and do we want to hang out with you, kind of thing. So, and I mean that in a way, like some people can't come into a company that is changing and growing in a somewhat disorganized fashion and enjoy that. So we are always looking for people who love and expect change, and so off-centered, we usually use that in front of most of our job descriptions, but in particular with any kind of supervisory or managerial role, they have to sort of be open to change and want to really work in a team environment with their people. So sort of focuses that on right at the beginning of the job description.
We have a question over here.
You talk about being, having change.
Hello, Mariah, Mike Tyler. Mariah, Dennis, sort of building on what Dennis asked, how many rooms does this have, and will you change how the motel or hotel looks to give it sort of that off-centered appeal?
Yeah, the hotel has 15 rooms and 1 suite, which is kind of funny, because I don't know, sweet. Anyway, right now, we're not changing the footprint of the building. We'll change the exterior cosmetically. The building is quite sound. It's a concrete block building. Can't really do too much to mess that up. But so we will keep the exterior. You know, obviously we're going to do some reskinning and painting and new roof and all that kind of stuff to make it look more like Lewis and more like us. So that will, and then in the rooms, we have a little bit more latitude to have some fun. One of our members of our Dogfish Head Advisory Board for the last couple of years has been in the hotel business. I don't know, maybe that's why sort of when this opportunity came up, we were like, yeah, we can do that. But because, you know, he has a lot of ideas to help us sort of figure out and source from a design and fit and finish perspective. So we're working on the inside, but hopefully it'll be a little bit updated from what it is now. We plan to gut the inside and just have it be sort of a fun, beachy, though, place where you can come and hang out.
Go ahead.
So you talk about change, but one of the things that we lack here in Sussex County is we have a great summer tourism, but in the winter, it's not very kid-friendly. And that's, I see you guys, I know you guys travel with your children a lot, and especially with the younger children. It's great to have a place to go in the winter where the kids actually are comfortable in staying in a hotel, because it becomes boring. There's either TV or a small little room. Are you guys really thinking about bringing that into Lewis? Because when it rains in Sussex County, there's nothing to do. The water park's closed.
Yeah.
So, you know, talking about being off-centered and having new ideas, I would hope that when more establishments come, they think about, like, I'm not saying something as big as a Great Wolf Lodge, but something similar where there's actually an arcade inside, because, you know, I have small children as well, and it's always a nightmare. Even in the winter, we like to just go down to Rehoboth and stay from Milford just to get away on a weekend. So are you guys thinking about that in the future?
No, only, and let me qualify that, only because we are very careful about marketing in any way, shape, or form to and anything that might look like we're marketing to children or anyone underage. So we probably wouldn't go that route, only because we don't want to, I mean, we will definitely be family friendly. We will be able to accommodate families. My husband was certainly adamant about no TVs in these rooms. We don't want people sitting in here watching TV. I'm like, and the rest of our management team was like, are you crazy? If you're traveling with small kids, you want a TV for at least a half an hour at some point. So we're sort of, we haven't come to a decision on that one. But that's sort of our philosophy on sort of what we have a ton of kids come to the brewery for tours because they're here with their families, and you can't just leave them in the hotel while you go to the brewery tour. So, so we do have a lot, and we do have our birch beer soda on tap for kids, and but it's a very fine line.
Are there any other questions? Microphone is coming.
Having, it says it's on. Having been out to the Budweiser tour out in St. Louis, do other breweries have hotels, are you the first brewery that's doing
No, there's
that?
I'm gonna blank on the name. Out in the Northwest, there's a chain of brew pubs, and they, I think it's McMinimans, and they have an awesome hotel sort of brew pub kind of experience out there. Our friends at Stone Brewery in Escondido, California, have said that they are going to consider, they have bought property to build a hotel across the street from their facility, but not a lot of them do, but some I've heard of it. It's not an unusual concept.
Any other questions?
I know everybody here would like to know, do we all get samples this morning? But seriously, beyond that, you guys are a true success story for not only the county, but as well as the state.
Well, thank
You
you.
really are, and so congratulations.
Thank you.
And all of us here, I'm certain, would like to learn and want to hear from you how we all can grow like you have. Because at the end of the day, we all live in a very difficult, challenging economic time, and you all continue to grow and succeed. So if you would, share some thoughts about that.
Well, I mean, quite honestly, we make a product that people enjoy, that's affordable, and it's not, you know, a crazy stretch of the imagination to go out and buy a, you know, a 4-pack or 6-pack of great beer. So I think that is, you know, to be sort of we're sort of at the higher end of the beer category in terms of a luxury product, but at the same time, it's the beer category, so it's an affordable luxury product that we're making. So it's an approachable investment to support our company. But I also think that even within our world of the beer company, that we work hard to continually sort of make ourselves, you know, stretch ourselves to do things that aren't necessarily being done even within our segment of the beer community. So not only because it's fun and more interesting to do it that way, but I think it helps sets us apart from sort of our friendly competitors in the craft beer market. So I think that has been a big part of why we've been able to grow in that segment over the last 18 years. So I guess, I don't know. It's kind of a big question.
We have time for one more question. Anyone else?
Not so much a question as a comment. As a resident of Lewis, I was stuck in a traffic jam one day, and I saw this big kid go by me on a skateboard. It was Sam. One winter, I'm going down Pilot Town Road toward the center of town, and there's this big fella selling hot cider and coffee on the corner with his kids. It was Sam. The innovation that Sam brought to his business and to the community has been very, very much appreciated, as this gentleman has said. I'd just like to suggest that it's probably more business, it's more a personal thing that Sam has done. And his creativity is really what makes things happen. It's just been exciting to watch.
Yes, he has a lot of creativity.
Thank you.
Sometimes it's exhausting.
Mariah, I did want to ask, what can we do as a community to support you? With Dogfish Inn.
Now you can bring the samples in. I don't know. I mean, I guess the main thing would be sort of help spread the word about all of our small businesses and local businesses, and keep you know, speaking highly of our local businesses that you know and run across, and share that information with you know, all your friends and your visitors.
Great. Thank you. Thanks, Mariah. Our next presenter, I'd like to introduce Stu Eisenman from eRevolutions. Stu?
Oh, wow. I heard we usually get 35 or 40 people for this event, so this is quite a change. Thanks for coming, everyone, and thanks really to the community college for having us and inviting us, and Chris for reaching out to us. We appreciate it. So, eRevolution Ventures. We're essentially a data-driven e-commerce company located in Selbyville, Delaware, and I'll get back in a moment to what data-driven e-commerce actually means. Internet Retailer Magazine, which is really the sort of the watchdog of our industry, or the go-to magazine for our industry, recently listed us the 7th fastest growing e-commerce company in the US. We're pretty proud of that. And Inc. magazine actually just ranked us the 3rd fastest growing company in Delaware. So a lot of good things going on in Silicon Valley and Selbyville, as we like to say. I mentioned big data science, so we're a data-driven e-commerce company. So really what that means is we use data, analytics, rules, algorithms to sort of go out into the retail marketplace and universe and figure out buying trends, what's going to sell, what consumers are looking for. In a sense, we use big data, and you read that term a lot in periodicals now, big data science. NSA seems to be looking for a lot of big data scientists recently. But we use big data to sort of take the risk out of retail. And really, in a nutshell, that's pretty much what we do. The next slide up here, just to give you a little bit of company biography. We've been around since 1986, and I've got to bust on Chris a little bit for his website because he wanted me to register, and I can't go back before 2000, and when you have to put in year founded, right? So yes, we've been around since 1986. We started as a brick and mortar retailer, actually in the New Orleans Riverwalk Marketplace, a festival marketplace that was run by the Rouse Company, and started with a 500 square foot kiosk. The thing that I'm most proud of as company co-founder and president is that since 1986, we've never had an unprofitable year. So we've weathered good economies, bad economies, all kinds of events, Hurricane Katrina down in New Orleans, lots of events, but we've still never had an unprofitable year. And recently, as we've focused on the e-commerce section of our business, because we still own some brick and mortar, but as we focused on the e-commerce section of our business, we've actually grown from recent years from $3 million in sales to $9 million to $24 million. We're projecting $50 million in revenue for this year that we're in right now. So I guess, the question is, so how did we get there? And that's, I think part of the reason that Chris asked that I come today. Okay, a couple of core principles. I know I only had 5 minutes or 6 minutes to talk, so I wanted to really focus on a couple of core beliefs that have served us well since 1986. And the first belief really is a really fundamental one. Business is about profits. So we've always been very good at managing our metrics, knowing our ratios, knowing our industry standards. And what you're seeing on that slide is sort of a physical manifestation of that philosophy, red light, green light. So with the help of our outstanding CIO from Lithuania, who's actually here today, and he's 6'7", so you can't miss him, right? We've integrated red light, green light into our software back end of the company. So each day is broken down, in terms of when what we need to do to break even for the day and become profitable. And when that happens, the light, you guessed it, right, changes from red to green. So little chairs go up in the office. It's also a great way to keep your staff there late after hours, because usually it's about 6:30, in the evening when the light changes, depending on the time of year. So business is about profit and red light, green light. Another core principle for us, and I really believe wholeheartedly in this, and I'm sure many of you do, is share your goals and benchmarks, right? So, let your staff know what you're trying to accomplish, let them know, what their immediate tasks are, and break it up into milestones and benchmarks. Our goal for 2013 was to double sales and double profits, and we're right on track to do it. We're coming into the fourth quarter, we're looking good. We've already surpassed our number for 2012, and typically we do in the last quarter what we did in the entire 9 months building up to the last quarter, right? So our goal for this year, in 2013, was to get to double sales and double profits, and the best way to do that, the easiest way to do it, and my vendor relationship manager is also here, and he'll tell me it wasn't so easy, but the easiest way to do it was to double our SKU count and in-stock items. So our buying staff, all of our key managers are all tied into this metric. So we had to go from 15,000 in-stock items to 30,000 in-stock items, and they had to accomplish that by October 1 to take advantage of the Christmas selling season, and they nailed it. I think we hit October 1 with about 33,000 in-stock items. So again, just sharing your goals and benchmarks. What you're seeing actually on this graph is kind of what we're focusing on now that we're understanding this, this sort of tiger by the tail that we have with the growth in our company. And our big goal now is to get a better return on investment in our inventory. So what you're seeing there is us monitoring whether our sales growth is exceeding our inventory growth in percentage terms. Because at the end of the day, if we can do that and get better turns, then we'll be much more profitable and we'll get our overall margins up. So share your goals and benchmarks. Definitely believe in it. Really, really important for us. Believe in partnership, and I'm wholeheartedly buy into this. So believe in partnership. Now these are all my business partners. We actually clean up pretty well. This was before a meeting in New York Toy Show, which is actually a really fun show to go to, in the Javits Center in New York City. But whether it's literally partnership, in other words, giving people equity in your company or allowing them to buy into your company, or philosophical partnership, getting people, working with people. The bottom line is believing that together and working with people, you'll get more done faster and more profitably than you will do by yourself. So believe in partnership, something we try to live. And then listen, observe, and emulate. And I just put up on this slide a few of the companies that I follow. Warby Parker, by the way, I think is an amazing company. They're really revolutionizing the way that people buy eyewear. And Henry Hines, actually, in the bottom right there, is kind of a hero of mine. He was an early innovator of the Hines Company in terms of employee incentives, employee programs to make people involved and buy ownership in a company. But listen, observe, and emulate, very important. And we apply that a lot when we're looking at competitors. So we'll often look at a competitor and say, how are they getting that product for the right price? What do we need to do to beat them to the punch? Do we need to be importing it direct? Do we need to eliminate touch points? All very basic but very good stuff for us. So listen, observe, emulate sounds pretty nice, but when we apply it to a competitor, it can be pretty cutthroat. And we like that, though. It's not a bad thing. Okay. And then the last slide, embrace change, right? Our company is totally transformed. I mean, we're seeing, incredible changes in the way consumers buy product, right? I mean, you can get same-day delivery in many cities. Just massive changes in just consumer behavior. You can go into a store and scan a barcode and figure out if the price is right or whether you should order it online. So rather than fight those trends, we realize that we're in a global economy, and we want to embrace change and use it to build and make us stronger. And then the last comment I would make is just moving forward, like what we're looking for 2014. We are stocking $100 million in sales. I mean, our goal is to double again this year. We're already selling in Canada, and by the end of November, we'll be selling in the UK. So a global strategy is part of what we're doing. So I hope I didn't speak too fast. I know I talk fast sometimes. But I guess at this point, that's kind of our story. And appreciate you guys listening, and I'd be happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
First, thank you for choosing Delaware, and that's what I want to know coming from Louisiana. What made you find and come to Delaware?
I came to actually Ocean City, Maryland first. I was working for another retailer, first as a marketing director and then as a managing partner. And then in 1997, we went out on myself and one of my guys that was in that photo went out on our own and formed our own company. So I just kind of ended up here a little bit by circumstance, I guess. Fair and so. But we like it here a lot. And we're doing great things here. Yeah.
Thank you for sharing your big success. I really admire your success.
Thank you.
And business need a coach. And your products, double revenue year after another year. We, do the cold therapy and the asthma therapy. We do have that potential, but I do not know how to do it. Now, do you accept business students, not business coach?
Business students. We actually have a couple of internship programs going on, but I think one thing that's really helped us with our success, and I had to think really hard to distill what we're doing, down to a few slides. But I also a core belief is believing in the next leadership generation of leadership within your company. So we really have just an amazing executive team, about 5 or 6 individuals who are really going to help us take us to the next level. So I guess that would maybe answer your question a little bit. Not quite about education, but as close as I could get.
Hi, yeah, you're in Selbyville. Very grateful for that. What kind of internet broadband service are you getting there?
That's a good question. Joe, can you answer that question? Because just the carrier.
Okay, so you don't have Maryland broadband coming in through.
No.
Okay, so all right. Well, I wanted to let you know that some of us are looking into broadband for the entire county.
Gotcha.
Do you think that would be an improvement?
I think.
Nothing.
Yeah.
Questions now. Hi, Brad Ripke from Wawa Incorporated. Our company has always been, we built ourselves from our niche and grew our way up. What is your niche that's, showing that you are your part compared to the Goliaths out there in e-marketing?
Yeah, really, what we try to do, and I think I mentioned it before, but we really try to take the risk out of retail. So really our niche is taking all this information that's available and using it to make really informed, on-target buying decisions. Like our inventory is our single greatest asset, okay? So what we want to do is we want to get the maximum return on investment on that inventory. So we're constantly moving in and out of SKUs, all right? And using that data and using it intelligently and constantly refining it and constantly trying to make it better. I mean, currently, we have right now, I guess we have about 34,000, 35,000 items in stock, right? But we're gathering data on 15 million items, okay? And part of what, I talked a little bit before about just changes in our industry. Part of what's happening in our company is just to store that kind of information and have access to it. The costs have come down so much in the last couple of years. Like we couldn't have built this business 5 years ago, right? But with the things that, it's available in cloud servers and everything else, we can do that. We can store this data or analyze it. But, sometimes when we have bank folk in, right, we got to talk about, our plans for next year and all that. And the great thing is, so I can, out of 15 million items I'm tracking right now, I just got to pick the best 35,000. So it's a very when you distill it down like that, it becomes very manageable for us.
What solutions do you use before
All kinds of, and that is a little bit of our secret sauce, But I mean, social media, sales rank on various channels, and I didn't really mention before, but part of our success is we sell across multiple channels. So we sell on our own websites. We also sell on Sears and Amazon and on eBay and Newegg, Best Buy and Buy.com. So we sell on multiple channels. So we're gathering data points basically from all these different access points.
There's a question over here.
Yes, my name is Gene Day from Jobs here at Delaware Library. One of the things I'm curious about is transportation issues by land transportation. 35,000 items that you're shipping constantly. Do you find it a constraint on your business to have the kind of highway system that exists in Selbyville?
Okay, well, what I will tell you is, so, going back a little bit in our history, right? So we started out as a brick and mortar retailer, and we had this website, and the website was doing, never got up more than $800,000, $900,000 a year, right? It was right around $1 million a year. And we actually hit a tipping point, and that tipping point for us was 1,000 orders a day. So when we were shipping 1,000 orders a day out of our 5,000 square foot warehouse in Selbyville, spending many a night till 3 or 4 in the morning, shipping these orders, we decided to outsource our distribution. So we don't do any of our own fulfillment at this point. Mm-hmm.
Are there any other questions for Stu?
What do you sell?
Well, actually, the E stands for everything. Seriously. Yeah, the E stands for everything. We sell in every product category. I mean, we sell health and beauty. Actually, we're getting pressure a lot now to sell groceries, but we don't discriminate. We pretty much, if it's legal and ethical, we sell it, and that's part of the data science behind what we're doing. But we're probably strongest, in all fairness. Our biggest category is still toys and baby because we know that industry so well, and we have a lot of relationships in that industry. We actually. Another goal for this year is getting more and more exclusives. So we actually have a lot of exclusive relationships on e-commerce in that industry. So to answer your question, yes, the E stands for everything, but we're strongest in toy and baby. And my guys love to go through our warehouse. They'll go through our warehouse and shoot me text messages saying, "Did you know we sell this? Like we sell sand? Really? Sand? Like play sand?"
Stu, I have a question. I think they're as fascinated, about what you do as I was when I first learned about you, and I've been trying to figure out what you do for quite a while.
Did this help at all, or?
Well, I've ordered stuff from you. That's how I got to the bottom of it. I ended up buying a product,
right?
And maybe that's what would help them. Can you walk them through how you get a product and how it ends up at a customer?
Sure. Well, I mentioned before that we sell on multiple channels. So you may go on Sears and look for a particular shoe, and you may or may not even realize that you ordered it from us. And you'll really be confused because it will probably be shipped to you via Amazon. because they handle our fulfillment. So, you know, in a nutshell, that's what we're doing. So we're not so much brand builders. Like we know what we do well. We've handed off a lot of the logistics of shipping so that we can concentrate on what we do best. And what we really do best, and what we've always done best since 1986, is we source product really well and make sure we can have it available when the customer has it, except for those pool vacuums that we bought that, anyway, and that's another story because we're coming out of that season. But basically, it's about availability, product selection, and price for us. So, it's, you know, and a big part of that is price. Does that answer the question?
Right, but all the products go through Selbyville.
Yes, at some point. I mean, 95%. We have some ship direct programs. We're actually doing some beta. We're in a beta program right now where we can actually ship containers directly from a point. So let's say China in this example, all the way to the distribution center. So, and I talked a little bit about that, about our future goals. You know, we're really trying to eliminate those touch points because it just makes us that much more competitive.
Stu, what can we do as a community to support you?
Well, I mean, I think, you know, conferences like this, for one, you know, are really helpful because it creates a dialogue. But, you know, it's pretty apparent. I mean, we had 60 employees, full-time employees, at the close of 2012. We're at 113 now. So that kind of growth requires, you know, an educated workforce. It requires a certain skill set. You know, that's probably the biggest area. And then policy. I mean, you know, unemployment rates in Delaware, stuff like that. You know, so these are all concerns. But really, it's about having that, you know, reasonably well-educated workforce is probably the biggest, you know, obstacle right now to our success, to growing.
Thank you. Great presentation. So just in closing on 1 million cups, I just wanted to share also that the Kauffman Foundation informed me that there are over 80 locations in the pipeline to partner with the Kauffman Foundation for 2014 to join 1 million cups. So as you can see, this is growing nationally. They're looking into adding some international locations, which is wonderful. And also, it takes everyone in this room to support this program to help it grow. So please, you know, let everyone know about this. If you know an entrepreneur, which I'm sure most people in this room know an entrepreneur or two, let them know about 1 million cups. I'd love to talk to them. They can go to the website, 1millioncups.com, click on Delaware, and sign up by requesting to present. Thank you.
So where are you going to be on Wednesdays at 9 o'clock? It's 1 million cups every Wednesday at 9 o'clock in the other building, in our Student Services building. You can see how energizing those sessions are and how powerful they are. The videos, you know, from Mariah and Stu will be posted on that national website, and people around the country, around the world, because some of the coming sites are going to be international, can look at what's going on in Delaware. It's really exciting. In Selbyville, exciting stuff in Selbyville and Lewis, for sure. All right, I know you've been sitting. Can you handle 15 more minutes? Okay? Well, we want you to because we've got another exciting presentation about our Sussex County economy. And we're very pleased to have the Delaware Economic Development Director as our presenter today. Alan Levin is the former president and owner of Happy Harry's, the 10th largest drugstore in the country before it was acquired by Walgreens. Alan Levin is renowned for his business sense and his success as an entrepreneur and business leader. He is a graduate of Tulane University and the Delaware Law School of Widener University. He is at the forefront with our governor in leading economic development work for our great state. Alan?
Well, good morning, everyone. 8:45? Am I close? I apologize. First of all, this only adds fuel to why I want to make Sussex County my home, and will hopefully in the next 2 years. 2.5 hours to get from Wilmington to here this morning. 2.5 hours. 1 hour of which was spent in lovely downtown Newport, Delaware, because of an accident. Anyway, I thank you all for bearing with me, and I will be very brief. First of all, I want to thank all of the members of Deltec for being here. Ileana, Dr. George, you guys, Mark Brainerd, have done just a great job in building the entrepreneurial spirit of not only Sussex County, but of Newcastle and Kent County as well. So much of what we do at DIDO could not be done without Deltec. The governor talks about it constantly, saying that when we need students, when we need a workforce that is trained, we go to Deltec. And you guys never disappoint us, and for that, we are all very grateful. You know, I was looking at my notes. They give me these notes to read, and I'm not going to read them. But it is amazing for me to believe that you all have been doing this for 20 years. This is your 20th anniversary of doing this. And in the 20 years, my life has changed dramatically. I've certainly grown a little bit. And I will tell you that I've watched the economy of Delaware change dramatically over that time. Gone from some vibrant times, not so vibrant times, back to vibrant, not so vibrant over the last 6 years. And I can tell you that through it all, I think the one thing that has gotten us through the worst of it has been the spirit of the people of this state. You know, government doesn't create jobs, doesn't create anything more than opportunities. We try to get out of the way. That's our objective. This governor, since he came into office 5 years ago, made it a point to say, how can we help you do better than what you're doing today? And I think that in looking at where we've come from and where we are, and we're not out of it yet, I did get criticized for using the word robust in Kent County, that our economy is robust. Well, I guess there are definitions of what robust is. When I look across the street, I see robust activity across from Deltec, which we helped fund with an infrastructure grant. Beebe is going there, Redner's is going there, Lorette is there. Things are happening there. We are assisting at Pat's with the Georgetown Airport, the expansion there. We are assisting with Deltec with the training of the A&P, which is the aircraft and power plant. These are all things that we think are important in Sussex County. We've incentivized companies in Seaford, RDLP. We have helped them expand there as well. Atlantis Industries in Milton. All of these things make sense for Delaware because they're creating opportunities for Delawareans. I'm happy to say that we just did a proposal for Mount Air. We approved. Jack Riddle is here from the Council on Development Finance. Jack, thank you for giving my remarks earlier. He sent me an email as I was coming down. I'm not supposed to read in the car, so if there's a state trooper here, I didn't do this. But he said, don't worry, don't hurry, I gave your remarks. So I said, thank you. Jack serves on the Council of Development Finance, and on Monday we approved a grant of approximately $200,000 to Mount Air that will add an additional 100,000 birds a week to their 1.7 million. So now they'll be up to 1.8 million birds, an additional 49 jobs. In Millsboro, you will see, hopefully, Harim will take over the former Pinnacle plant. And there are a lot of questions about that. And I will tell you that I don't recall the last time that a company spent $100 million in Sussex County on an investment. And that's what they intend to do. They haven't asked the state for any money at this time. I'm not going to tell you that that won't happen, because I know companies better than that. But I will tell you that today, that is a great opportunity for a facility that has been active for year after year and that has died. It will bring back 700 employees to Millsboro. It is a huge shot in the arm. $100 million in an investment that I believe, and what we have been told and shown to DENREC in all their applications, will be better than what it is today from an environmental point of view and from a pollution point of view. These are opportunities we cannot afford to say no to. And if we want our children to have a place to work, to live, and to grow in this state, we have to do that. I did say in Dover a month ago that we have to decide, are we going to be a state that creates things, that makes things, that does things for our future generations, or are we going to be a waiting room for heaven, much like Florida? I don't think we want to be a waiting room. We want to be a place that is doing things. And that's why I think this opportunity for Harim will be a great opportunity. A lot of misconceptions. My good friend Joe Conway is here. Joanna, I'm not, I always have to say I'm sorry. You have a rocking chair in heaven for putting up with him. But I will say this, that Joe has raised an issue about the EB-5s and whether Harim would be using EB-5 money. And there's been a concern. EB-5 money is foreign investment that companies can take advantage of. It's low-cost money, and there's a misconception that they have to hire foreign workers. First of all, that's not true. The EB-5 individuals, the investors who invest in EB-5 money, get 2 green cards, 2 temporary green cards that they can use for their family or for whoever else they'd like to do. They can live anywhere in the United States. They do not have to live in Millsboro. In return, 10 employees have to be hired. American employees have to be hired for that green card. And they have to be retained for a 5-year period. That's a big deal. At the end of that 5-year period, assuming that everybody's lived up to their obligations, the green card becomes permanent. Again, it's a green card that allows them to live wherever they are. Not in Delaware, not in Pennsylvania. They're not restricted. They live where they want to live. So I think it should be clear that we're not going to get, if they get $60 million in investment through EB-5, they're not going to be 600 employees from Korea living in Millsboro. That's not the way this works. It's an incentive program to put Delawareans or Americans back to work, and in this case will be Delawareans. I think what you will see is new and novel ways by this administration trying to put Delaware back to work. And I don't think that there's a better county doing it today than Sussex County. President Vincent, Todd Lawson, Dave Baker before him, they get it. They understand what it takes to make things happen. And for me, it's a pleasure to work with them, because if we have an opportunity and we can bring it to Sussex, we do. Because we don't have to go through a whole lot of hoops. Because I can call Todd and I can say, Todd, what do we do? How do we get there? What do we make happen? And he does. And I think that's the great thing about this county. Not a lot of complications here. I go up to Newcastle, it's a whole different world. And I'm not putting Newcastle County down, it's just that it seems like the more people that get involved, the more murky things get. And quite frankly, that's why I love Sussex County so much. And it's the same in Kent County. Kent has been great to deal with as well. I just want you to know that we're going to continue to do more. Tourism was up this year. I tried to get Linda to give me a number, Linda Barkowski. She told me it was approximately 20%. And what we saw was a different type of tourist this year. Because of the economy, a lot of people took the trips, but didn't spend a lot of money in the restaurants. They chose to stay. They brought their own food. They bought their food here, whatever the case may be. But they made the trips to Delaware. We had an opportunity to sell this state. We didn't want to take advantage of New Jersey's woes after Sandy, but we had an opportunity to impress a lot of people with what happens in this state. With two of the finest beaches in the nation, Rehoboth, Dewey Beach, #1 in the top 5 beaches of the nation. We made a lot of friends, and I think we made a lot of converts this year. We will be seeing those people back. We did some exit interviews of people as they left to see what they liked, what they didn't like. One of the things they didn't like, which I can't understand, is the traffic on Route 1. For Stuart, who is in retail, or at least e-commerce retail, my prior life in retail, we used to love traffic. But for the beaches, ain't no good. And as a part-time resident of Sussex County, I hate it. And I'm happy to say that I'll be meeting this on Thursday, tomorrow, with Secretary Batt to try and figure out how we can deal with this problem. Because to be honest with you, it is awful. And you know, you only get in that traffic jam maybe once, twice, 3 times every weekend, and you say, you know what, it's time to do something about this. So you're welcome, Joe. Anyway, I think you're going to continue to see a better Delaware. And it starts here in Sussex and everywhere else in this state. But to me, I think Sussex is probably the most pliable. And this is not to be, you know, this is more or less an advertisement for you all, but really it's not meant to be that you guys are lax, because that's not the case. You want the quality of life. You want what is necessary to keep this county going. At the same time, you also realize that there are things that you have to do in order to make those things happen. I can assure you, you have friends at Delaware Economic Development. Governor Markell called me as I was driving in here, and I said to him, Jack, I got to go. I'm an hour late. And he said, well, I got to ask you one. I said, okay. So I answered him. Sorry, guys. But in the end, first of all, he did say to tell you all hello and thank you for what you're doing, because you're making a huge difference in Delaware. But we have numerous representatives from DITO here. I don't know if everybody's been introduced. Sonia Aguilar, Melody Booker, Tim McLaughlin. Who else is here from our office? I think the whole office is here. They just love to come out. Who else? That's it? Just 3 of us? Well, we only have 4 people in the office. Oh, and Ed Simon, who is the, you forgot Ed, Melody. Boy, you will pay for that. Anyway. With that, I'd be happy to take any questions that you have. I know we're running late. I apologize, Eliana. If there's anybody who has questions, I'd be happy to answer them either here or off-site, whichever you'd like. But I do thank you. I see my friend Steve Rose from Nanticoke. One of the greatest success stories that we have had at DITO was what has happened at Nanticoke Hospital. And I'll just tell you the story real quick, and then I'll get off because you've probably been bored enough by me. 4.5 years ago, I had a call from then the late Senator Adams, Thurman Adams, and he said, Alan, you need to help the guys at Nanticoke. And I didn't say anything more than, yes, sir. As everybody who knew Senator Adams and knew he was a man of few words, but was very deliberative in his words and certainly chose them well. I got the privilege to meet Steve Rose, who was the president of Nanticoke at that time, and we laid out a plan. And I can tell you, we took what was at best an emergency center, and I'm not trying to put you down, Steve, and made it a full-service hospital again. Brought back oncology, brought back cardiology, brought back OBGYN, orthopedics, and God knows whatever else you've brought back. Those are the only ones those are the easiest that I can remember. I can honestly tell you that we know that next to education, the most successful way to build a community is to have a health care provider that is credible. And there was no way on this earth that we could build a credible Western Sussex again without Nanticoke, and Nanticoke has made a huge difference. So Steve, thank you for all you've done. I appreciate it. Thank you all.
All right, here's the deal. I'm going to gong you in 5 minutes, so you can't go away. You can stretch, maybe get something to drink, but then we need you to sit back for another 15 for our keynote address, and then you'll get 15 minutes. All right? All right, stretch for 5. I know that you love to talk, so you've got to sit down so we can keep going. We're going to be on time. All right? Thank you, and you will get a break after this presentation. Our keynote speaker, focusing on the conference theme of people, your most valuable asset, is the past president of the Delmarva Society of Human Resource Management. She is the Burris Logistics Director of Team Members, Dr. Laura McCann. Laura's wealth of human resource experience includes work in organizational development, management, and training for Grotto Pizza and corporate training as a Delaware Tech faculty member. Her doctoral dissertation was on the topic of implementing a high-performance workplace in the distribution and logistics industry. Please welcome Laura.
Good morning. I'm very thankful to be here, and I do understand that I'm in the awkward position of being between you and some break food, so I will be very short. I do come with a wealth of experience. As Ileana said, I started working with corporate and community programs. I went from there to Grotto Pizza for 14 years and have been with Burris Logistics the last 2 years as their Director of Team Member Relations, where I am really focusing on our succession planning and our talent development and our talent sourcing. And it's a challenge. I mean, it's things that keep us up at night. We heard from our beginning speakers today that we need to hire smart people to surround ourselves with so we have that talent available in our companies, that we can grow and meet our customer demands and meet changing work environments. We need to, we can have the best equipment, we can have the best technology, we can have wonderful buildings, but if we don't have the right people building a culture of community and collaboration and really focusing on what we can do as a business to grow, we're dead in the water. So it's something that I know as my colleagues in the Society for Human Resource Management Association have talked about many, many times. It keeps us up at night because it's hard finding talent, and I'm sure all of us in the room are feeling that same pressure. We look at our team members, and we've got people who are leading Boy Scout troops in the community. They're working with sports teams. They're managing their family finances. But yet we leave their brain power on the table when we bring them into our workforces and just have them follow standard operating procedures and follow instructions and not ask them how can we do things better. And that's one of the biggest challenges I see our managers dealing with in all the companies I've worked across is how do we open up that communication and how do we really tap that unused brain power. We're dealing with several different factors in the workforce which makes it really difficult to manage our people. We have a multi-generational workforce in place, and we'll talk a little bit about that. We have technology demands that are growing faster and faster all the time. Stu alluded to it that, his company's changed dramatically, working with big data, working with analytics. Those are things we didn't even think about 10 years ago. And now it's stuff that our team members at the most frontline levels need to know how to understand that data, need to have data available to show how they're performing, need to know where their production metrics are so that they can be more effective and they can be a more inclusive part of the team. Our customer demands are changing, and again, You know, we want things faster, quicker, right away. You know, Amazon, Yahoo has set the standard that you get stuff overnight. Our customers want that, no matter what industry we're in, so we're always meeting those challenges. And then language and culture, we have Sussex County's dealing with a lot of change in our workforce dynamics and our workforce profiles, and we need to embrace diversity and help our teams to really learn how to work together and build a better workforce. When we look at our multi-generational factors, we're the first time in our history where we have 4 distinct generations in the workforce. We have the traditional folks that would have been around World War II age. We have the baby boomers, which are my age. We have Gen Ys. We have millennials just now coming into the workforce, and we all bring different skill sets and different needs into the workforce. And we have some stereotypes out there that we know and we've heard about, you know, the traditional employees and the baby boomers, you know, have a really strong work ethic, and millennials and Gen Ys don't, that they want the time off. We have the stereotype that our traditional and baby boomers don't embrace technology, but our Gen Y and millennials do. You know, there's some truth to that, but don't use that as a guiding principle, because you have different people across different generations that have various skills. And the main thing we have is that I was listening to WBOC this morning, and the statistic they put out is that 50% of Sussex County population is over 50. Now, for our workforce, think about that for a moment. What happens in 10 to 15 years to the knowledge that we have in our companies right now when the people that are 50 or over start to retire? We are facing a huge knowledge gap in our businesses. We have to tie together those, you know, over 50 people with our new people coming in to make sure that talent gets transferred, and that we have them work together on projects and stuff to really make things more creative and help people work together. If we think about technology, and again, going back to some of what Stu previewed before, I remember all these things on the screen: typewriters, the first Macintosh computers, computer punch cards. We had those when I went to college. We had to learn how to program with computer punch cards, and heaven helped us if we dropped a stack of punch cards that we were getting ready to run. Been there, done that, had to start over. Library card catalogs. You know, the kids today coming into the workforce haven't even seen some of these items. You know, we had one of our employees brought in a son, and we had an old-fashioned coffee maker in the office, and he didn't understand what that was because all he'd seen was a Keurig. You know, our kids don't know rotary phones now. So it's just, you know, we have, you know, all this background in how technologies come, and our new people coming in and coming out of college are really facing, you know, a time where they have had instant access to information at their fingertips. They know how to be Google jockeys and, you know, find information on anything that they need to find. They get most of their learning through YouTube videos now, where we read stuff. They will turn to the internet and find a video to watch. And what we used to have to use as a computer that took up a whole room, I now, when I travel with the company, I just take my smartphone and I can do 90% of what I could do on my desktop just from my smartphone, which makes us much more mobile, much more connected as a society, but it certainly is a challenge with our team members. How do we keep them up on that technology? Language and culture has been a huge change in all areas. We're seeing a change in our population shifts in Sussex County. A lot of us have to look at now having information, training manuals presented not only in English but in Spanish and in some instances other languages as well. Those people from different cultures bring in a wonderful perspective to our business, and again, it's working to facilitate putting those folks together and putting teams together that can use that cross-cultural references and make better products, better services for the people that we serve. Customer demands, covered this already, that we really have customers that want things now, want it right away. We have customers currently that are housed in our warehouses. So they have offices, so they are directly dealing with our team members one-on-one, day in and day out, and it's a great collaboration, but it's a different mindset that you really have to look at how we're building team members. We can no longer have an employee come in that is focused just on their job and not how it impacts everybody else. You have to build that collaboration. You have to build that vision for each team member from, the first line people all up the chain on how what they do impacts the rest of your organization, because it is way too critical if somebody breaks that chain. So what do we need? We now need, and we've got a great support system with the educational community here in Sussex County, but they can't do everything. And one of the things I'm challenging not only the educational community but us to do is we need people who can come out and solve problems. They need to know how to look at an issue and break it down into manageable pieces to make changes and to make suggestions and to make things more efficient. They need to manage projects. They need to work together across the companies as teams. No longer can we stay in our single departments. What we're changing in our company with our HR teams is you need to be out in the warehouses looking at what goes on. Walk the floor at least once a day. Talk to the team. Understand how the different departments operate. And we're seeing a big shift there where we're hiring better people because we know what operations needs, or we know how finance needs, what kind of skills they need. We also need to have employees that know how to learn. With the way technology and information comes at us in such a big waterfall of information, how do we keep people up to date? And that's got to be something that they take some responsibility for. So we need those people that are willing to learn, willing to research information and bring new ideas to us. We need the people that go above and beyond what their normal job requirements are and say, I'm going to make it better for the company and it's not just about me. We need people that are flexible. We're having some issues in some areas, and you'll hear from some of the employers later, that we have jobs available, but because you may have to go out of town and work for a period of time, we can't fill those jobs because that flexibility is not there, and it becomes a little rigid sometimes to fill that. So how do we find employees? First, we need to look at our employer brand. And this is not only just what you advertise in the paper, but how do your employees talk about you to their friends, to their colleagues, to people outside in the community? Those are your biggest advocates for getting good team members in. They can be your best source of referral, but you need to keep a pulse and talk to them about how they manage that brand. We talked about the job, Ileana mentioned the job aggregator board. One of the things we found is that we're going out to different technology services that when we put out a job posting to get our information out, that with one click we can send it to CareerBuilder, Monster.com, Indeed.com, Simply Hired, Glassdoor, colleges, the job boards out there are endless. And without us having to go through a whole lot of searching ourselves, we've got a partner now that can help us post those positions with one click from our end. So if we want to find the right employee, we have to know what the job is, and we have to identify what those key competencies are. So before we hire them, we have to have a clear understanding of their role within the organization and what we're looking for as far as attributes. Develop behavioral-based interview questions, and we talked a little bit earlier, and you'll hear more about, it's a marriage when you bring somebody into your business. It's not just a one-time date. So make sure that you take the time to really vet the person. Have them go through an extensive interview process, not just with their supervisor, but with their peers. We have started peer-to-peer hiring, where we have our hourly warehouse team members are hiring their coworkers, and they are the final decision on who makes the team. And it's uncomfortable for supervisors to make that switch. But what we found is that that new person coming in already has a bond with our team. The team members who hired them have skin in the game now, where all of a sudden if somebody leaves, they're taking it very seriously. What happened and what didn't we catch in the interview process? And we really try to make it an audition. Our key manager positions spend 4 to 6 hours with us a day in order to meet and greet other people, take tours of the buildings, and it makes a big difference in people understanding what our mission and our culture is. So what can we do as businesses then? We can continue to do strong on-the-job training and have learning resources available. With the mobile technology now, we have at our fingertips, and our employees have at their fingertips, we can push training programs out to their mobile phones. We can push them out to iPads. There's just so many ways we can get information out to them. We need to reward them for doing more in the areas of learning and development, and that just doesn't mean money, but look at how we can recognize them, you know, featuring them in a newsletter, giving them an extra assignment that, you know, gives them some visibility within the organization. Help them make those connections on a broader scale within the organization. And also then to develop partnerships, not only with our local colleges, universities, school systems, and trade organizations, but we do in Kent and Sussex County, we have the Delmarva Society for Human Resource Management chapter. That is your group of HR professionals who come together once a month, and we talk over different issues, keep training them on new ways to better the workforce and to find people. So tap into that. That's an open meeting that anybody can attend. So you have resources, use them, you know, and challenge your HR people to think differently. It's no longer about just putting out a job posting and doing passive recruiting. It is about getting in there and talent sourcing, which means that you really have to find new and different ways through Google searches, through reaching out to people that you meet during your travels. You know, I worked for Dominic Polari at Grotto Pizza. He was the master at giving people business cards when he went out to restaurants if he liked them, give him a business card, and they'd come to me the next day and say, well, Dom hired me last night, which is always a challenge, but what a great way to find great people. The people you want are not always the ones that are looking for the jobs. It's the people that you need to go find. And we can find great people. There's so many things that we can do to support each other in this venture. And I'm glad that Deltec and the conference is supporting the dialogue this year on people, because I think it's something that is a make or break for our businesses. So I want to thank everybody for, you know, allowing me to talk to you a little bit this morning, and I appreciate the opportunity. Thank you.
We're going to move on now to the to our panel piece, which is kind of this. It is the table work. It is the community. It's putting folks from the community in front of you to talk about really the issues that we face, and then you get a chance to have that interaction with the panel. So what we're going to do, this is our first panel, is the world of hiring and development. So we'll hear from 3 local employers, representing the diverse business structures and organizational cultures found throughout Sussex County. And with us today are executives who focus on their people for business success. They know the importance of matching the right person to the right job. Their corporate missions are distinct to their organizations, and they must hire and develop personnel who embrace and support the specific culture. The effectiveness of their hiring practices and employee development is evidenced by their success. And they're here today to share their insights and experiences with us. And so what we're going to do is we're going to have the panelists tell us about their corporate cultures and how they attract and retain employees, and then you will have the opportunity to ask them questions. So what I'm going to do is I'll give a brief bio of each speaker, and you will find more information in your handbook there. First is Cindy Dunson. Cindy is the Director of Human Resources for Dogfish Head Craft Brewed Ales. Dogfish started locally and is now known nationally. Cindy says that she's always looking for fantastic, fun, hardworking people to join the company's slightly off-centered team of coworkers. Next to Cindy is Kathy Ressler, an area manager for Wawa Food Markets. Kathy, God bless her, oversees 18 stores. Her area extends from Smyrna, Delaware to the Bay Bridge. And Kathy says what she most enjoys about her job is mentoring people to advance in their careers. Kathy is also responsible for 3 other area managers in her region. And our third panelist is Dan Schlaball. Dan is the founder and president of Atlantic Aluminum Products, a local business in Greenwood that currently employs about a 50-person team. Atlantic Aluminum began as a humble business that continues to focus on upholding the integrity of its products and being committed to its customers and employees. So, Kathy? Nope. Cindy. Way to go, Bill. All right.
Hi, I'm Cindy Dunson. Thank you for the introduction. I want to talk to you a little bit about Dogfish Head. One of the questions, or the way we were supposed to frame this talk, was tell the group a little bit about our company, and I feel like you guys know our company so well, but having that said, we started in '95 with, I think, a wish and a dream, and probably the wish was to be able to drink flavorful, interesting, unique, craft-made beers made in America, and I think probably the dream was that Sam and Mariah believed that they could be those people that made that wish a reality. We were the first brew pub in the first state, and over time we had a greater need for our products to be produced, and so we expanded first into Nassau, and then we expanded ultimately in Milton, Delaware, where I spend most of my time, and we continue to expand, thank heavens, today. We make really off-centered ales for off-centered people, and I think, as I talk to coworkers, really what I say is that word ales could really be kind of like lassoed and removed from that statement. And because we make off-centered spirits for off-centered people and off-centered wood-grilled food at our pub, and we'll, I guess, have off-centered nighty-night soon or off-centered sweet dreams for off-centered people once our motel is realized. So a little bit about our corporate culture and hiring coworkers. I brought a video to show you that hopefully gives you a little bit of insight, and then I'll speedily talk again.
Hello.
Hi.
Welcome to Dogfish Head Craft Brewery.
People are always asking, can I work for Dogfish Head?
The answer
Is yes. We're always looking for off-centered rock stars to join our team.
if you're talented, hardworking, and fun.
And you love off-centeredness. Not to mention beer.
You'll fit right in.
Here's what we do. We brew. We practice.
We analyze.
We market.
We play it safe. We sell her.
We crunch numbers.
We give tours.
We support.
We cook.
We serve.
We compute.
We distill.
We ship. We maintain. We make hay.
We sell.
We engineer.
And we hire.
There's always a lot going on at Dogfish, but it's an especially exciting time right now.
We're putting in new fermenters, expanding our brew house.
And building a 75,000 square foot warehouse.
We're gonna need some help.
Do you have the right stuff to join our team?
We offer competitive pay, great benefits, and plenty of room to grow. And don't forget the free beer.
We told them about the free beer, right?
And if that doesn't convince you, maybe this guy will.
We're not going to try and sway you. Come work here. If you choose to come on this journey with us, come work here. That's your individual choice. Come work here. Don't be swayed by what you saw in this video. Come work here.
So check out our career page at dogfish.com.
Cheers.
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 And if that doesn't convince you, maybe this guy will.
All right, so a little bit, I think that video probably told you a little bit about us, but definitely our culture is one where we're hardworking, we're safety-minded, we're fun-loving. I did a talk recently at our distributor summit, and what I said was, these distributors walked around and they saw our facility that was like becoming increasingly automated, and it was becoming sophisticated, that they needed to remember that Dogfish still had we were pulling on our big boy pants, but we had a frog in our pocket. And it's that kind of spirit of creativity and innovation that still exists at Dogfish, even though we adhere to SOPs, and we care about the consistency of our beer. Our culture is one that we require folks to be very participatory. We're not a culture of spectators. It's folks need to get in the game, not sit on the bleacher and watch, and that's really important to us. We also encourage our folks to think as owners of their jobs. So our job descriptions challenge people to challenge the status quo. So we want folks to be thinking about their doing work like we don't hire robots, we hire people with minds and ideas, and we want them to bring those ideas forth. We do think of the hiring process as courting, and we think about the hiring of our coworkers as marriage. So we spend a really lengthy amount of time. Our hiring process for all positions is a day at minimum. Sometimes it carries over into another activity, maybe a next day. We will invite folks to come stay with us. We'll invite them to bring spouses. We will have dinner where we get to know their family and they get to know our family. We involve the team, so the team of coworker peers. We have the folks, if it's a manager, we have the folks that person will be developing and coaching, part of the process. We have peers, part of the process, and we have all cohorts. So if you're, for us, if you are going to interact in a significant way with that person, you are involved in that process. And then we follow up with information and feedback following. As far as development, I think we really take a three-pronged approach to that, which is, very often we hire in the skill that we need through experience, because we are growing pretty quickly, so we don't always have the time to be patient through learning curves. Sometimes we need to just go out and source folks that can bring that experience with them to kind of help Dogfish grow. We do in-house training and development, so case in point, we moved to a new packaging line very recently. Air Mechanics did some in-house training for our packaging operators. We also do coaching for all supervisory and management folks. We kind of frown on the E word, executive, but those folks that are in positions where they touch people, those folks have a coach that works with them through issues of culture and people leadership, and we think that it's an important venture, and we've been doing this for about 4 years. And then we also, a huge piece of our culture is that we're growing pretty rapidly year over year, so we need people to have kind of that growth mindset. And so for us, like self-motivated training is huge. So we also offer a tuition reimbursement program, which we increase annually, and have to this point increased annually to encourage folks to go out there and get the educations they need to supplement their skill set. So quite a bit at Dogfish, and I think that's probably my 6 minutes. So thank you.
Hi, I'm Kathy, and it's an honor and a privilege to be here today to speak before our leaders of today as well as our future leaders. It's turned around. I think I got it now. Okay. So before I wanted to talk about my company, I wanted to tell you a little bit about myself. I accidentally stumbled in on this career 33 years ago when I was trying to figure my life out, and I just needed a part-time job that had flexible hours. So once I got in, I just fell in love with the work, and then it allowed me to grow with the company, and I've had an awesome career with the company. They also paid for my education, which was really a big deal for me. So now I would like to tell you a little bit about the Wawa story. I tell my friends they're the best kept secret. Believe it or not, Wawa started more than 200 years ago. So in 1803, they opened their first dry goods store in Greenwich, New Jersey, And then in 1862, they had a cotton mill. And then it was in 1905, they bought the dairy. And by 1918, they had established the milk delivery door to door. And they built their reputation as being a trusted friend, quality service, and quality products, much like they do today. And then in 1964, the milk delivery business was kind of going away. And Wawa needed to figure out how they were going to get their milk to their customers. And this is when they opened up the first store in Wawa, PA in 1964, and it's referred to as Store 1. Wawa came to Delaware in 1970. And in 1996, Wawa opened the first gas store in Millsboro, Delaware, in Sussex County. So this is one of the best projects that I have ever gotten the opportunity to work on. There was a small team that worked on going into the gas business because we didn't know anything about it. And it took us, from the time we started until you saw the gas store, it took us a year. And just to let you know how we're doing today, we sell 2% of the nation's gas, and we compare it to Exxon, which is 8 to 10%. So in just a short amount of time, we've done pretty well. So throughout the years, Wawa has changed, but some things have never changed, and it's their timeless principles. This is what we stand for, and this is what we built on. We want our customers to feel valued. Quality is in the details, and we want our associates to become the best them that they can be. We break it down into 3 core ideologies, and the first one is our deeply held beliefs, our core purposes, and our values. We're very passionate about being privately held. We're the 40th largest company according to Forbes, and we are employee-owned, and our leadership style is the servant leadership style, which is if you're a leader in the company, it's your job to serve and help others. This is a breakdown of who owns Wawa, and as you can see, 38% of our company is owned by Wawa, and Wawa has created many a millionaire. Wawa continues to change and reinvent themselves, but their core purpose has not changed. We exist. It's just simply to simplify your daily lives. And our core values is what we base all of our decisions on. This is how we do our hiring. This is how we do our selection. Our interviews are geared around our core values. They are value people, delight customers, embrace change, do the right thing, do things right, and a passion for winning. So let's talk about Wawa today, because you got to have a Wawa. We employ 21,000 people. We have over 600 stores in 6 states. The impact that we have on our local economy is for every store, we employ 30 to 40 people. Wawa's compensation and benefits are geared towards attracting and attaining the best talent. Part-time turnover is less than 60% at Wawa, where the national average is over 200%. Manager turnover is less than 10%, and we retain long-term associates. If you would like to apply for a job for Wawa, this is how you would do it. You would go on the internet, wawa.com. And people always ask me, they'll say, Kathy, what's your best brand? Is it your coffee? Is it your gas? And I said, no, it's our people. The basic requirements that we look for is a high school diploma, the ability to lead and grow yourself, and a willingness to grow. So to attract the best and retain the best, we also pay at the top end of our pay scale and benefits. So our average GM makes $100,000 a year, and the assistant general managers make what managers in most retail businesses do. They have great benefits as well. This is our store organizational chart. I came here with Brad Ripke. He's sitting at table 8. and he was kind enough to put together a package. If you want any more information about the specific breakdowns of the jobs, does everybody have one? Okay, thanks. All right, thank you.
Good morning, Dan Slabaugh from Atlantic Aluminum Products. Appreciate this opportunity that the committee has given me to share our story, and I'll try to make it quick here because I think we're running a few minutes behind. Just a quick shout out. I want to thank some of my team members that are here, Harold, Patricia, and Brenda, a very important part of our team and our success, and thank you for all the hard work you put in our organization. Also thank Jack Riddle for your support in banking for our company. Been a very big part of that, and also for Dito. We participated in some of their grant money a few years ago in the lean training process, so thank you for that. I guess I need to thank Rob Ryder too for getting me into this, so thanks for the invite to the committee from Newton's. Atlantic Aluminum Products, I grew up in Sussex County, and in 1982 as a teenager moved to Florida, and 14 years later I moved back, brought some of the products and ideas that I was exposed to in Florida, and didn't know what I was going to do when I moved back to Delaware, but through some great blessings and opportunities and understanding and seeing some opportunities in the market, our company has reaped a lot of benefits. The success of the building industry through those early years. Started by myself in 1996. Currently we have about 50 employees, and some of our products that we manufacture aluminum railing, which is railing that you'd find on the balcony of a condominium or a hotel or apartment complex. And also we do residential products more on a local scale, like screen porches and sunrooms, and that's what we were kind of known for in the community. But on a larger scale, we are in the Mid-Atlantic region, all the way from Myrtle Beach to Philly to Baltimore and Washington. We provide railing products as kind of our core product now. That takes up about 80% of our products. So as we evolved and as opportunities changed, we have evolved and changed with that. Some of our corporate culture is we're very family-oriented. We are aggressively goal-oriented, and we look for opportunities in the market as the market changes. You know, as the condominium market dwindled a few years ago, it became obvious that we needed to kind of shift our focus. And so in saying aggressively goal-oriented, we noticed that we needed to address the housing market change, and the apartment market was an obvious change, because the housing market, the need for housing never changes. It's just where people live seems to change as we evolve and move with that. We are a very lighthearted atmosphere. We're not rigid, you know. If people need to go to doctor's appointments and so forth, we try to accommodate those needs, and we really try to promote from within whenever possible. It's not always easy, but that is our that is part of our focus. Our vision statement, it's, as you can see, AAP demonstrates the belief that when employees are our first priority, they produce a superior product and excellence in workmanship, as well as integrity and service for our valued customers. We try to create a vision statement, and it ties in very well with today's theme. We just believe that if, you know, a lot of companies will say our customers are first and foremost, and we kind of had a philosophy from day one that we will make our employees, our team members, first and foremost, and in doing so, that with excellence, they will provide and make that customer first and provide a good product for them. That parlays into our governing principles. We've used this. We try to create an atmosphere where people can make decisions on their own as much as possible without micromanaging the organization. And we came up with kind of 8. It was difficult to narrow this down to 8, but 8 governing principles that we try to live by and help people to make decisions. And if they make the decisions based on these 8 principles, we will support them in that as much as possible. So owning excellence, inviting trust and respect through action, maximizing time and resources, seeking understanding first and always, preserving dignity and honor to everybody in the team, upholding integrity, moving towards the goal of the team, and then we always try to build camaraderie through fun, through activities. Our team has evolved over the years, and our facilities have, we're in Greenwood, Delaware, right on Route 13. Some of our products would look like this, some Ocean City projects. Ocean City was a very large market for us. Projects like the Christina Towers in Wilmington, you might have seen some of our products there on the riverfront. It's kind of one of those unassuming products that buildings use that you don't ever think about, but these are some of the projects that you can kind of get a feel for what we do. That's our facilities in Greenwood. Some of our recruitment and hiring techniques. Employee referrals are very, very big for us. We generously give bonuses to employees that refer other and new team members that stick around for a few years. It's very important to us to use those resources. Networking opportunities, social media, we try to use as many of these as possible. Some of our biggest challenges, well, first of all, I just want to go back just a little bit. We have 3 basic, we have professional, office, and sales staff. We find that is probably not the easiest, but it's one of the easiest of the 3 for us to recruit and hire in. We also have manufacturing jobs that are about 1/3 of our workforce, and those are relatively simple to fill. Our most difficult and challenging are our installation jobs, which require traveling and require people to be away from their families. And our growth for our company could expand much faster if we were able to really hone in and do a better job, and we're constantly trying to do a better job recruiting in that field. And we could easily, we talk about all the time, how much bigger our company could be if we could find those people. And so we're constantly trying to evolve and master that. Some of the things we're doing to improve our retention is doing a better job of training and trying to remove those frustration things that can build an organization. So we're aggressively trying to improve our training, our facilities, and our programs, and coming up with standard operating procedures that we can train to, evaluate to, and help people understand what we expect of them. And those are some of our weaknesses that we're definitely working on now and trying to conquer. So we're growing, and we're internally so that we can grow our company as a whole. Currently, we're about an $8 million revenue this year business and about $10 million in sales, which will turn into revenue next year. So we're definitely growing. There's a lot of opportunity there. We easily see the opportunity to be $15 million in revenue in the next 2 to 5 years. So a lot more I could say, but I'm going to, since this red light is blinking here, I'm going to turn it over to Bill. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Cindy, Kathy, and Dan. So now it's your turn, okay? But first, before I do that, I want to introduce a colleague, Ernie Lopez, the University of Delaware, but I think you know him more as Senator Ernie Lopez. Thanks for joining us, Ernie. Very good. So here's the deal. You've got about 5 minutes at your table to kind of share your thoughts on what you heard, pull out a couple key themes, and generate at your table one question you would like to ask our panel. I think they've done a great job in presenting how you meld hiring folks to an organizational culture. It's critical. So take a couple minutes. This is broccoli. Enjoy it. And have at it. So here's how we're going to work this. With your table, as you know, and I've heard some great tables, great questions. Why didn't Dogfish bring samples? I mean, really. Lighten up out there, okay? So You can ask a question, just, of one of the panelists or all of them, but just, let us know when you ask that question, okay? So here we go, and first question, I've got to go here.
Thank you, Doctor. This question is for Cindy, Kathy, and Dan. I'm going to bring you in on this one, too. I'm sitting here with my colleagues, Senator Venables and Senator Simpson, and my good friend Dennis Forney. All of you did a great job, but one of the thoughts that we had in sitting here and discussing was, how do you handle, and you talked about being good to your employees, in turn they'll be good to your customers. And all of you, I know, are very good stewards and very good neighbors for those where your companies are located, where your stores and whatnot are located. But what we struggle with as policymakers is striking that balance. And that balance is something that I think all of us talk about and think about in our businesses and what we do in our daily lives. Cindy, Dogfish Head is in Milton, and you guys are growing. Can you share a little bit in regards to some of the issues you've had in making sure that you guys are being good neighbors along those lines? Kathy, I look at what's happening up in Newark, where you guys were looking to put in a brand new gas station like you did in a shop, and there was a lot of dissension and people that are upset there in regards to a gas station. And in Newark, and I'm glad it's up in Newark and not in my district anymore, but look at some issues they're having with the data center, which Senator Venables wrote so thoughtfully about in an op-ed this past Sunday. We want to have the growth, we want to have the jobs, but we want to make sure that selling that is palatable to the people who live there so that they understand that while they may be arguing about it now, in 2 years or 4 years or 6 years, they're going to scratch their heads and say, why were we fighting this project? And Dan, I know you can key in on that as well, but I'd love to hear your thoughts about really trying to message what you're trying to do to those that you are serving right immediately around you. That's important to us.
When we get back to the office, I'm going to work with Ernie on short questions.
So did you want me to go first? I'll go first. When we have communities that usually don't want Wawa in, and I understand it, is that the amount of traffic, because Wawa serves a lot of customers every day. And then the second issue is if you've been by the store at night, it's lit up like it's a lightning beam. I mean, we want it well lit for our customers, for safe, and so, you see, and that type of thing. But I wouldn't want to live next to it. So, I mean, I understand their concerns, and, it's hard to find that balance in being a neighborhood store and having 1 million customers come through there. So I understand.
Right, I hope I remember everything. We obviously are in Milton, Delaware. We're in community development, and we support the community. I live in that community, so I walk to work, which is fabulous. I'm decreasing the carbon footprint, at least one of me. We employ a great number of folks who ultimately reside in Milton. So I think from a citizenship and tax-based standpoint, that's good for your citizens. At the brewery itself, there was a good amount of, I think, probably detractors from some of the expansion projects that we've recently embarked upon. And we had a lot of healthy debate at our town hall meetings, and Dogfish co-workers came and we presented viewpoints, and we heard opposing viewpoints, and ultimately, thank heavens for us, we prevailed in a lot of those expansion projects. I think those brought a great deal, it's always the kind of looking back, you can see the value that those opportunities brought. Obviously we're employing folks because we're using, it's a lot of construction, and it's a lot of other trades, folks that are coming to build new brew houses and build new warehouses, and we do a lot of, there's a good piece that's international because of the equipment we bring, but there's a large piece of it that's local through new buildings and just everything that comes with infrastructure growth and the changing of our campus. A few other things I think we've done is we've recently opened a food truck on our grounds. And we've also taken advantage of law that was changed to allow us to be able to sell pints from our tour center. So we are a bit of a local destination for our folks in the community, where you can go and you can grab a bite to eat for early dinner, you can grab lunch. We're delighted to see my pediatrician there, oftentimes grabbing a broad at the food truck, and we can be a local bar for our community members as well. The offsite warehouse enabled us to redirect some truck traffic. So a great deal of truck traffic now doesn't even come into downtown Milton. We keep it out on the larger thoroughfare. We also have been able to, we had another brew house expansion project where we have our grain and other products get delivered undercover. So, you know, folks don't really see, when we're through expansion, folks won't see those products being delivered, and they won't even deal with the truck idling and whatnot, because all of it is happening within a building. So there's been a great deal of, Dogfish here shortly will be paving part, there's a great heartburn in the community with the developer of that community, but for our part, we're doing a little bit of road paving kind of on our grounds, which I think will also go a long way with the community. When we try to be pretty proactive in communication, because we're constantly changing. Sorry, I'm so wordy or lengthy with this. You know, but we post notices at our community center, within our community, and we communicate with kind of the heads of that Community Development Association, or the CDI, at Cannery Village. So we really kind of endeavor to be a good neighbor, and our grounds are wonderful. We have a beautiful forest across the street with trees, and you know, and so I think we care about the aesthetics of our building, and I think that makes a good impression on our neighbor as well.
My answer will be much shorter. We have really no impact with our neighbors as of yet, no complaints in 15 years. So we're more of an industrial area. Two close neighbors have never said anything negative, so thank you.
I'm going to take a question from this side and a question from that side. So tight question, and let's go. Jen?
Hi, I'm Jen Scott with Leisure Way Solutions. All of you spoke a lot about sourcing and culture and how important the cultural match is to finding good employees. And I guess being involved with human resources and hiring for many years and utilizing many of the tools that you talked about, I'm wondering how are you really sourcing those potential candidates for employment?
You need more explanation?
Yeah, what does that mean?
Well, like, he talked about Monster and about, you know, different tools like that, but, I mean, obviously, you need a big pool of qualified candidates so that you can cull through and pick the best ones, and it's always a challenge to build up that pool. So I'm wondering if you guys have any advice on how to do that.
I'll start. I guess I'll try to be brief. We use, of the major job boards, we use Career Builder probably the most. We also use some of the other niche job sites. So we might use sites that are more brew-centric or sites that are more sales-centric within the kind of the beverage industry. We do a lot with social media. We're very grateful to have Mariah, who's super active in social media, and her team with Facebook and Twitter and a lot of the other modes that are out there, and we use that pretty extensively because we have a great following. So we will tweet and Facebook our jobs and direct people to our careers page. We post on our careers page. We also follow LinkedIn. Our recruiter is pretty active on LinkedIn, joining groups, monitoring who's watching her profile, reaching out to people that way. So it's a passive-active or active-passive approach. I guess those folks aren't necessarily throwing a hat in the ring, but if they're kind of keeping track and keeping dibs on you, chances are that it's worthwhile asking the question, hey, are you interested in jobs with Dogfish? So LinkedIn is a really awesome source. We also do a lot with coworker referrals. So our people refer people to us, and so those are probably some of the more typical ways that we might.
So we try to develop our associates, and when we don't have any associates that fill that, I give Brad a call. So Brad, would you like to answer the question?
Sure. I mean, we use some of the same sources as Dogfish Head. We do LinkedIn, Career Builder, Monster. Employee referrals are a huge part. Customers. I mean, customers are a very big part. When you come into a Wawa and you see that kind of atmosphere, you say, I want to work here. Obviously, if people are smiling and they're happy, you want to be a part of that family. And a lot of the benefits we have really help that to make our employees enjoy their jobs and really see the growth. I hate to see it when you see your general manager pull up in a Corvette. It's a motivator, is it not? You know you can make $100,000, and you could do it within 7 years and grow your way up. I'd say that some of our area managers right now, we're customer service associates within our store. So growing our people is big, as Kathy said. Also, the people that come to our company, you come to a good company, you want to bring all your friends. So basically, they try to open the door to all their people, bring them in, and I get a lot of referrals. I screen them down from there. So.
Thank you, Brad.
Yeah, briefly, I touched on it earlier, but referrals are our best, by far our best recruiting tool. Depending on, as you can imagine, depending on the level of job we're trying to fill, whether it's an office or professional position or sales versus like an installation or manufacturing job, you know, even as ironic as Craigslist, those types of things can be useful. You never know when you're going to find that little gem. And, you know, Facebook, we do use that. We are still learning in this process. We are trying to find our way through this, so we're always trying to learn. And, you know, we will even use some of the things we learned today. So.
Thank you. Over here. All right, right behind you is the mic.
Thank you. You're all to be commended for your work in trying to recruit and retain employees. Know they're your most valuable asset. The question has to do with what kinds of employee assistance programs do you offer when you find that one of your valuable, more experienced workers gets into difficulty, either substance abuse or emotional difficulty. We all know that a person's circumstances change on a dime, particularly in this economic environment. So do you have organized employee assistance programs, and how do you connect with the organizations that can help you to provide those services to the employees who need them?
I'll go first on this. We do not have a set organized employee assistance program. We do have a culture, though, that we'll rally around. We just had an employee about 3 months ago had a heart attack at the job, and we just, he kind of came to us and said, just kind of laid out their financial situation to us. So we kind of got together as a management team and trying to brainstorm what can we do for them. So we kind of came alongside them. We involved their family very much, and we had a bowl-a-thon, and we got sponsorships, and we raised enough money to cover them for the 3 months he was going to be out of work, since he did not have disability insurance to cover that time off. So he is very appreciative, and his family, and it was a great experience for the whole organization to observe, and it was a great team building effort. So that's just an example of kind of our culture. Not necessarily we have a program set up to work something out, but it was a great experience.
So at Wawa, we go through CareBridge. We use that company to help. But back not too long ago, maybe it was about 8 years ago, I had the manager in Millsboro. She got sick with cancer, and she actually passed away. And from that, what Wawa did, and this just goes to show you how Wawa is. They are phenomenal people. They started their own associate in need. It's an internal charity, I guess you might want to say. So anytime one of our angels or one of our people get in trouble, we kind of contribute to that, even if it's just $1 a week. And they do I have goosebumps with the stories that I can tell of all the great work that they do. They're phenomenal. Not too long ago, around February, associate in Middletown going to work was killed in a car accident, 20 years old. Wawa came in, just what they do is unbelievable. Unbelievable company.
Can I elaborate on that?
Sure.
Is there a microphone? Sorry. As Kathy said, the Associate Need Program is a huge, huge fund. Right now, as I said, we give between $25 and about $10 every single week out of their paycheck. So what it is Wawa employees taking care of Wawa employees. So with the program last year, I believe the program's up to somewhere between $7 or $8 million. Last year we spent $1.6 million. In that $1.6 million, we spent 24% of that on funeral costs. That's a big, big window. It's not just our people dying, but obviously, people going out there. I mean, we have an international workforce in some points, and getting them out there to those funerals, who can afford that as an associate sometimes? 26% was spent on utility and heating costs. When people have issues in the price of heating and utility costs, the raises in utilities, we actually take care of that and put that into their paychecks regionally. Another half was spent on, obviously, big issues. Things like children getting sick, houses burning down. We even contribute money to the community as well. With the New Jersey project, I wish I had exact numbers for you, but Associate Need spent, I believe, about $100,000 out of the Associate Need Fund for New Jersey relief. We also raised an additional, at some point, there was $150,000, $200,000 at store level. We also give back to our people in the community as well with some of the programs when it comes down to our USO. We have a lot of those checkout scans. If you ever see them, help the troops, help the different groups. There's always just scan $1, $2, $5, and it helps take care of the people all around us. So it's a big deal.
At Dogfish, our health insurance includes some care for substance abuse or for kind of emotional counseling. We do have an EAP that coworkers can contact and get assistance with. And we do similar programs like a vacation or coworkers. We'll do fundraisers for folks. We'll collect, and oftentimes this is done at the management level, which I love because then it's really tells me that our managers are plugged in with their people. But we'll collect for folks that are going through like severe hardship, and we will, as a company, oftentimes donate leave and things to folks that maybe don't have adequate leave to take care of kind of personal life struggles.
Thank you all very, very much. Let's give them a hand. Nice job, team. What I really wanted to do was stretch this out so you all can see how important table work is. But what we're going to do is we're going to take 5 minutes so I can change panels. So don't move. Stay in your seats, have a little chat, and I'll bring you back in about 5, okay? So here we are, panel number 2. This is our World of Job Seeker Preparation panel. So people, your most valuable asset, would not be complete without hearing from those we hire, the employees, those in the workforce and those who will one day be part of it. So today we are fortunate to have 2 men who took 2 different paths to their careers, and several high school students are in the midst of planning their futures. Remember how we started this conference? 15 years? All right, so here we are. There are many paths that can be taken to prepare for one's career, earning a degree, training on the job, or building the skills early on to be able to make good choices. So again, I will get the panel started with brief bios, and please refer to your booklet for more information on our presenters. And again, you will have the opportunity to ask questions. So on my left is Kevin Fleming. Kevin is a 1991 RN. Kevin is a 1991 graduate of Indian River High School. He holds a bachelor's degree in history and is a 2010 Delaware Tech graduate. Kevin spent several years traveling the world, and when he realized that he wanted to begin a new career in nursing, enrolled at Delaware Tech to earn his nursing degree. Next to Kevin is Travis Carter from Miller Metals. Travis was born and raised outside of Greenwood, where he attended school until the 11th grade when he dropped out to work a full-time job. Travis gained I was going to make some crack about Rob Ryder, but I'm going to pass on that. So, Travis gained a sound knowledge of the local building industry by working in his family's business for 8 years. He then spent time traveling overseas, and upon his return, has worked as a metal fabricator for area businesses. He's currently employed at Miller Metal and is also in the process of starting his own business, Atomic Artwork, making metal furniture and sculptures. We have students Richard Lamontagne, Jenny Vasquez, and Kiara Kilgo from Delaware New Tech Academy at Seaford High School round out our panel. Richard is a junior who not only strives for academic excellence, but also is involved in many extracurricular programs, is vice president of his class, and serves as a class ambassador. His goals include becoming a successful entrepreneur and to own and run a Fortune 500 company. All right. Kiara Kilgo is a sophomore and has also had the opportunity to be a guide for guests that visit the academy. She's a distinguished honors student, a student athlete, and is involved in several extracurricular activities. She aspires to be valedictorian of her class and to continue her education at Harvard University. Jenny Vasquez was born in El Salvador and is a senior at Delaware New Tech Academy. She served as a tour guide for Senator Tom Carper and participates in student government, field hockey, and the Academy's production company. Jennifer plans on being the first in her family to go to college. So Kevin, let's get us started.
Good morning. My name is Kevin Fleming. I'm a registered nurse at Nanticoke Memorial Hospital in Seaford. I grew up on a 60-acre farm in Dagsboro with my 8 siblings and my parents. My family has been in Sussex County since the early 1800s. Now, Fleming isn't a real Sussex County name. My mom's maiden name is Bennett. And my earliest family member was a man named Levin Bennett, who came to Ocean View from Jamestown, Virginia in the early 1800s. My grandfather was named George Delmar Bennett. He graduated from Lord Baltimore High School in 1934. Now, my grandfather, Pop-Pop as I called him, he was an ambitious young man, and when he graduated, he was faced with the dilemma that faced many young Sussex Countyans for years. What am I going to do for work? College was out of the question. This was the heart of the Deep Depression. So Pop-Pop decided to move to the big city and find his career there, and he spent the next 60 years in Philadelphia. He became a salesman, and he continued on in sales, and he worked for a large steel corporation until 1967, where he bought his own factory and became the boss. In 1981, he opened a factory in Georgetown, Delaware, to take advantage of the low costs and to bring jobs back to Sussex County. Delmaco Manufacturing is still in operation over at the Industrial Air Park, where it employs approximately 20 Sussex Countyans. I graduated from Indian River in 1991. I had attended the college prep courses and had always been sold on the American dream of go to college, get a good job. I attended East Carolina University in Greenville, North Carolina. Now, the one thing they didn't tell me about going to college was what to study. I found myself in the same situation as a lot of the Occupy Wall Street protesters when I graduated, because I had received a liberal arts degree in history. I had learned a lot, but really had no job skills. I wasn't prepared for the workforce. I had $30,000 in student loan, however. The summer after I graduated, I had no plan what to do with my life, but fortunately, living in Sussex County, I turned to tourism to find a job. I rented umbrellas at the beach, and I lifeguarded, and I worked in the restaurant industry. I was lucky to find a job in Bethany Beach at a small restaurant called Sedona, and the tips were really good, and the management was really great to work for. And I learned the importance of working with a smile and working hard. And a lot of Sussex Countyans in that part of the county, their first job is in tourism. But, we can't do it year-round, and Sedona wasn't a year-round restaurant. But I worked as hard as I could and saved my money, and before I knew it, 15 years had passed. Some winters I'd worked in Florida, California, or traveled around the world, enjoying an endless summer. But every May I was back at Sedona serving food with a smile, and I had a really nice setup. But in August of '06, I decided it was time for a change, and I had always driven by Del Tech. And two of my sisters were nurses, and my great aunt, she was a nurse in the United States Army, as well as a lieutenant colonel. I inquired about nursing at Del Tech, met with a counselor, and 2 weeks later, went on my path to become a fully employed year-round registered nurse. I graduated in 2010 as an RN, and then as now, the market for new grads was very tight. I was fortunate to land an interview with Nanticoke Memorial Hospital just before graduation. One of the interview questions when they saw that I lived in Ocean View was, there's hospitals closer to you than Nanticoke, how do we know that after we invest in you and train you, you won't jump ship to another facility in order to have a shorter commute? I pointed out the fact that I had worked for 15 years at Sedona, and I said, I'm a very loyal employee, and if you're willing to take a chance on me, I'll repay you with my loyalty. Another question dealt with how I would get along with people and resolve conflict, and I pointed out that coming from a family of 9 children, I knew how to get along with people with different personalities. Many of the skills I learned in tourism are very useful as a nurse, smiling, thinking under pressure, and working nights, holidays, and weekends. So what does an employer look for in an employee? Well, they say that 90% of life is showing up, and I learned that early on in life. I had perfect attendance from 5th grade until my sophomore year in high school. In the tourist industry, I learned the importance of a positive attitude and a smiling face. And I learned to be flexible with my schedule because holidays and tourism is a big part of the game. And when I was ready to start a new career, the final piece of the puzzle was getting the skills which I obtained here at Delaware Tech. Employers want qualified workers with a good attitude who show up and are reliable and who are flexible. I was lucky to be hired in 2010 at Nanticoke Memorial Hospital when a lot of people were out of work. And a hospital is a 24-hour facility, which means working nights, weekends, and holidays, so flexibility with your life and your family is a must. Dependability is another trait that employers want. They want you to show up and be punctual and have a long-term commitment to the company. Having ties to the community is a sign that the employee may stick around for the long term. A lot of people who aren't from the area graduate, sign on, they invest money in the employee, and then they move to the city 6 months later. But patient satisfaction is a big deal, especially under new Obamacare legislation. A lot of reimbursement depends on how satisfied the patients are, which makes a compassionate, smiling RN that much more important. And I want a mutually beneficial relationship with my employer. They want me to be committed. I want to feel they're committed to me. I'm very fortunate to work for Nanticoke. They hired me during the recession, and now it's been 3.5 years. And they polled the employees recently to see concerns that we have. They actively engage us with town hall meetings to inform us about policy and allow us to voice our concerns. It's like we're a team. The employee and the employer, we work together and look out for one another. Employees also want inflexibility from their employer. Special time off for family and graduations and weddings and funerals. In today's world of technology, we're all human, and spending time with loved ones knowing that we're going to be okay if we get ill and can take off for weddings will keep us happy in both our professional and personal lives. Upward mobility and opportunity for advancement is really important in retaining employees also. Employer-funded education, if available, is an affordable way for employees to move up in the workplace and possibly become administrators. Sussex County is a wonderful place to call home. It sure has changed a lot since I was a kid, and definitely since when Pop-Up was young. It's a special place to raise a family, and with good local jobs and local educational opportunities, Sussex County employers and employees can establish that mutually beneficial relationship that can enable all of us who call this place home to prosper for years to come so that generations more can enjoy all that Lower Delaware has to offer. Thank you very much.
Hi, I'm Travis Carter, and I work at Miller Metal, and I'm sure it's mostly Rob that I'm here, so I should talk about both their businesses and how on-the-job training is pretty much how I got to where I'm at now. I never wanted to go to college. I did to be an anthropologist when I was younger, and I think that over time I realized that there's no way I'm going to make any money doing that. So I had to just go my own way and figure out how to make a trade. And trades are anything from like woodworking to metal to masonry. And a lot of the young people that we have coming in the shop, some of them can't even read a tape measure. And I've had to take a few under my wing and help them out. And through the last couple of years, Miller Metal has really grown. They used to be, I don't know, there was one laser and maybe 20 people. Now there's, what, 63 lasers and a whole mess of other equipment. So in order to fill all these positions, they had to find some good workers. Most of them all came from the local area. And I know Rob hires a lot of younger people at OA Newton's. In order to get to where I'm at in the metal business, I had to cut back and take about 2 to 3 days a week in pay. I did work about 5 or 6 for the guy, but it was an apprenticeship. I had to learn all the basics and get to the bottom of how metal really worked. And it was hard. I had to move back home to my parents and everything. A lot of people these days are having to do that. And a lot of the local companies are starting to look more local for their help. And I think that people are buying more local. So places like Dogfish Head, which I follow online all the time because I look for jobs there too, actually. I always thought that off-centered was more where I needed to be. And Marty's given us opportunities that some of us have actually quit, go and work somewhere else, and hey, we didn't like it, we came back. And for people to have no other education, that's a really big gift. And the last year or so, I started working with my own company doing metal art and fabrication, and that's gotten a lot more interest in the past couple months. I started working with a guy that owns a gallery in Milford, and he's hoping to open up the River Arts Center for Traditional and Modern Crafts right in Milford. And there's been talk that, you know, there'd be a lot of different teachers with that and be able to teach people art and trades so that hopefully as they go on through their life, they'll be able to use those skills. That's taken up a lot more time than I thought it would, actually. The art world is a cutthroat business, too. It doesn't make any sense how people purchase things. But buying local is an important part of that, because if you can buy something from a local tradesman, that's money not going out of the community. And most of the time, those people will trade back with you for something that you create. And I think with the new generation, these younger children here, the more they can learn that they can be successful at an early rate. Like if they're building something or creating something, it doesn't have to always be academic, but they have confidence because they created something, whether it be a piece of pottery or they made a good bead on welding a hopper up or something. But it'd be awesome to see what kind of businesses they could create in the coming generations. Thank you.
High school. What comes to mind when I say the words high school? High school is defined as a preliminary period of time after middle school which prepares students for life. Will you be successful in life? That's all determined in high school. Those 4 years determine the rest of your life. And as I go into the second marking period of my 3rd year of high school, I take the time to reflect on how my school has prepared me for my life. And I can confidently say, I am ready to turn the tassel. This is because of my school, Delaware New Tech Academy. New Tech is a revolutionary learning model that teaches students 21st century skills through project-based learning. Whoa. This is how it works. We get a project on a specific subject. They may last from 1 week to about 3 months. We get into groups chosen at random. This is because New Tech is modeled after a business. You don't get to choose who you can work with at your job, so why should you at New Tech? That's how we operate. You must learn how to resolve your disputes if you don't like your group members. You have to get through it and get the job done. That's how it works. And trust me, it gets hard sometimes, but we work through it. A group member is voted as something called the facilitator, and the facilitator is pretty much the boss of the group. They make all the decisions. They're responsible for the welfare of the group. If you have a group member who's at another table, slacking off, not being productive, you're the one who has to go over there and tell them, hey, get on task. This teaches leadership skills. And as facilitator, you learn how to delegate tasks, set goals, and follow through with rules on your group contract. Every group member is held accountable for their actions, though, and their work. And just like a job, if a group member fails to do their part, the group can fire them from the group, and that person must restart the project from scratch all by themselves. This does not have to happen 10 times before the student gets the point. Show up to school, abide by the contract, and stay productive. Because just like a job, when the deadline hits, it hits harder than a right hook from Mike Tyson. So we have no choice but to learn how to manage our time. At the end of the project, each group must present their work to the class or judges from the community. Both are very nerve-wracking. But it is necessary to know how to publicly speak, whether it's talking in front of the admissions officer for your college meeting or getting interviewed for a job. You need to know how to talk in front of people. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. My name is Kiera Koch. I'm a sophomore at our Delaware New Tech program. There's a lot of things that I could say about New Tech, but what I really wanted to focus on today was talking about group work. Nobody that goes into the business world likes everybody that they work with. If you think that your boss likes every employee and every coworker that you have, you are sadly mistaken, because they don't. And if they tell you that they do, they're lying. When you're in New Tech, it is really, really important for you to learn how to collaborate with people. You do not have a choice with who it is that you work with. You get your group, and that's just it. Your project still has to get done. Everybody needs to make sure that your attitudes are combining and agreeing with each other. It doesn't mean that who you work with, you have to be best friends with, and you guys have to go out to dinner after the project is done. But while you're at school and while you're in the business world and you're getting your project done, you have to make sure that you set all of that aside. Mr. Edward Lanos said politeness is the poison of collaboration. It's fine to be nice to people, but in your group, everybody has a facilitator, everybody has a boss, and you're not going to be the leader all the time. You won't be a follower all the time, but there's always going to be somebody in your group that you have to listen to, and they're not always going to be nice to you. Sometimes they're going to be like, hey, you need to get this done, and you just have to get it done. That's just the way things work. It's really important for us to know that alone we can only do so little, but if everybody comes together, you can do a lot more things. You win awards and stuff when you get your projects done, if you do the best, and when you put people in positions to do work, just like you do at your job, on an application they ask you, what experiences do you have? What do you work best in? And when you do your groups in New Tech, that's what you do. You pick the job that helps you the best part of your ability that you can do. If you can public speak, be your speaker. If you can do research, then find research. If you can do math, be the mathematician. And if you just like telling people what to do, then be the facilitator. That's perfectly fine. It's important for everybody to know what role that they play, because you can't do it, you can't have one without the other, and you can't do it by yourself. It's important for everybody to know that if we all work together, success will take care of itself. Thank you.
Over the years, it has been difficult for employers to find the ideal employee due to the constant change of required skills. Hello, my name is Jennifer, and I am a senior at Delaware Tech Academy. As I first entered the program, I was lacking in skills, for example, communication skills, work ethic, and working with other people. That's my weakest point. But as I entered New Tech, I was working in groups constantly. I was working with different personalities, and I learned how to work with people who might like to lack off a little bit and people who did the work all the time. New Tech taught me how to express my ideas and how to be a leader and not a follower. As over time, I learned more and more how to manage my time, because in New Tech, you work with projects and they are related to real life. For example, we might work with a company to make a commercial for them, and we have to meet deadlines because that company is kind of want that commercial by a certain date. So that's how I learned how to manage my time and meet different deadlines. Now that I've been 3 years in UTech, I started this my sophomore year, and I can now say I'm ready because I have the skills. I have the 21st century skills now. I'm ready for whatever the employer is looking for. I'm ready for after graduation. I'm a senior, and I am a little bit nervous about what's going to happen with me. But now that UTech has prepared me for all this, I've learned different skills. I wouldn't be talking to you right now. Like, I was the most shy girl in the class. I was the one in the corner, like, I will never raise my hand. I will never speak to you. The teacher will speak to me. I will never speak back. And I will not be able to be talking to you right now. I'm able to say our NUTEC model is trust, respect, and responsibility. And I'm able to say I'm a trustworthy person. I'm responsible. And I also know how to manage my time, which is really important for the workplace. That's it. Thank you.
So again, Kevin, Travis, Richard, Kiara, Jenny, thank you. So let's put everybody else to work now. What do you think? All right. You got 5-7 minutes. What I'd probably like you to do, think about one question for one of the panelists from your table. Make sense? One question. I've got a bunch of folks up here, so ask one question of one person. So have at it. Take about 5 or 7 minutes at your table to come up with that question. Thank you. Question time. Let's start at this end. All right. Very good. You are so active in waving your hand. Right. You ready? Denise, there you go. Good.
This question is for the panel of students from NUTEC. What do you see as the best incentive an employer could give you to motivate you?
Well, let's collaborate about it first. Well,
Did you get the question you want to ask?
Oh yeah, we're talking about it.
You
So
are.
we're collaborating.
This is about the goodies, you know what I mean? This is not consensus, you know?
Well, we get a leadership on. Yeah, I got it. Well, when we get into groups and you pick a facilitator at the end of the project, if it's a really big project, that facilitator might get something called the leadership bonus, which is a couple extra points for being the leader and taking on that extra responsibility. So possibly a good incentive would be a raise for employers, you know. Maybe every 6 months you get a $10 raise or something.
Richard, you wish. Is that what they do?
Yeah,
Richard.
Yeah, every 6 months you get a raise.
Wish. Richard.
I have a question for the students. When you finish college, do you think you will seek employment in Sussex County?
You need to answer that. Like I said before, I'm a senior. When I graduate college, which I hope I will, I know I will, I am looking forward to be a successful person. And I know that NUTEC has prepared me for, you know, the workplace, and I know what the skills that I have right now. And let me tell you, not every graduate from high school has those skills. And not every college graduate has those skills either, but I have them, and I know I will be successful because I have those skills.
Any other students?
Yes.
Did I answer your question? No. He wants to know
No,
if you're
Bob,
getting a job.
this conference started 20 years ago with business and education. How do we keep our kids in Sussex County? Do we have the right systems? Do we have the right jobs? Do we have the right education system? So Bob's question is, hey, you going to stay?
Did I plan on staying here? Originally, I wasn't planning to stay here, but now that I see what's out there, after all these presentations that I've seen today, maybe I plan on staying.
Well, well, personally, after I graduate college, I do plan to stay in Sussex County because I live in Seaford, and we've seen a lot of growth in the past years. Like, we now have a Papa John's, a Lowe's, and everything. And I want to grow with Seaford, you know. I want to open my own business and be an addition to Seaford and grow with it.
Very good. All right. Anybody in the center section here? All right, I've got a couple back there. Let me wind this way. Let's see, Gary, you got one? We'll go here. Got you all the way in the back. And I'll come back.
I think a lot of us are unfamiliar with Sussex or Delaware New Tech Academy. And Senator Venables, being from Seaford, says it's part of Seaford High School.
Yes.
Can you explain the difference between the New Tech Academy and a regular student at Seaford High School?
No, I'm going to do it. Okay, so it's not as much this year because we kind of have some school rules going on right now, but I know last year when I was a freshman in New Tech, it's like you're still a part of Seaford High School, but like you have such like a bigger advantage than most of the other kids. Like when you walk past the traditional side and you go to classrooms there, like kids are sitting there and they have books in their hand and all that kind of stuff, and it's real quiet and calm. It's not like that when you go down the New Tech hallway. Everybody's talking and all that, and that's because you're constantly like working in groups. I know traditional kids that are always like, I wish I was in New Tech, because you're not sitting there with a teacher in front of you telling you what to do all class period long. And a lot of kids don't learn that way, and they be going to sleep in class and all that other good stuff. But you are constantly doing something all the time. And when we have guests come or your parents come and all that, they hold you to a higher standard of doing things when you're in New Tech. Not saying that you're better than the traditional kids, but you're a teeny tiny bit better than the traditional kids, but you don't tell them that. But it's just the way that you're learning that's different. Like everybody, when people come to school, everybody knows that you're different from the rest of the school. Everybody.
So
To answer your question, sir, it's kind of like a school within a school. Say, for example, you're to transfer to the Seaford School District. It just gives you another option of how you'd like to learn the content. We still learn the same content as everyone else in Delaware. We have to abide by the same standards. We just learn it in a different way. You understand? Say, for example, you know how we have auditory learners, visual learners, kinesthetic learners. Say, for example, you fall under some of those categories, you'd be good for New Tech because we learn in those ways.
All right. Do I have any questions for Kevin? Come on. You were charged to do this now here. All right. Question for Kevin right here.
Not a question, but a comment. We're so proud of you. Thank you.
Smooth, very smooth. Smooth the plant. All right. Any questions for Travis? All right. Oh yeah. All right, Travis. Oh, you're not getting out of this.
This is really for Kevin and for Travis. You've both had interesting backgrounds, and you're both successful in what you do. What is the one thing out of your experiences that you credit to that success in your training, your education, and what you've done that stands out?
That would I would attribute to my success or my happiness. What thing I would credit? I don't know. I think my mom and dad taught me how to have an open mind and to always be tolerant of everybody. And I think that I was raised in a compassionate household, and so I had a good moral upbringing, as well as, and that was the foundation upon which I built my education and the other skills that I obtained in life. But it all started with morality and kindness and compassion that was instilled in me as a kid.
I think mine is, I think outside the box a lot, and I really don't care a whole lot of what people think.
I apologize. I really do. To me, this is the best. This is, it's part of what makes this conference go, but I've got to shut it down because remember how I started this? The thing that we can't mess with is the demographics. We've got Ed Simon coming up. So let's give the panel, let's give Kevin, Travis, Richard, Jared, Jenny, all right, very good. All right, thank you.
Yes. Let me introduce formally here Ed Simon. You all who have been here years and years know that we have a tradition here of doing demographics. There are more on our website, and we've asked Ed today to just give us a little snapshot in concluding our conference. Ed?
Thank you, Dr. Smith. And thank you for staying here. Just about everybody stayed, and this has been one of the best conferences that we've ever had. Do you agree? I was going to say this a little later, but I just wanted to say that from the speakers and the panelists, what's been encouraging to me is the fact that we have good training and education in Sussex County, and there are good jobs out there. It's just a matter of making the right match. So that's very encouraging to me, because I always hear there's no good jobs, but there are good jobs. Okay, so this year, as you can see, we're doing things a little differently. In the past, I had rather a lengthy PowerPoint presentation of demographics and statistics, but I did an update this year, and that is going to be on our website. And certainly, please, if you have any questions once it's out there, or if you want to contact me with any questions, my contact information is on this slide. For this segment, I have another PowerPoint which is going to be out there, but it deals with kind of the 2013 highlights, a snapshot, if you will. And but didn't go. Help. Aha. I better hurry up before that red light comes on. Okay, before I get into 2013, I wanted to talk about the past 20 years, because this is our 20th anniversary. And I was thinking, when Laura was talking about the demographics, you gave she mentioned our average age here in Sussex County, and it's pretty high. The average age in Sussex is higher than in the other counties. Substantially, because we have a lot of retirees that have had vacationed here, then made permanent homes here. And this has been going on for any number of years. But I think 20 years ago, those of us baby boomers were in our 50s and 60s now. We were like in our 30s and 40s. So when you think about that, that's amazing. Our workforce now is much older, and it's good to see that we do have a good group of young people who are going to be moving ahead in the future, so that was encouraging. But 20 years ago, the Sussex population was 126,300. 10 years ago, it grew to 167,800, and now 210,800. This is the only chart that you're going to see that is not in the book. So let me just, if you want to jot down those numbers real quick. So it went from 126,300 to 167,800 to 210,800. That's a 67% increase. And comparatively, well, Kent County grew by a whopping 46%, so we grew much faster than Kent County. Newcastle County, which is of course much more populated, still grew at a pace of 21%, which is a lot of people actually. But now the population growth was faster in the first 10 years than it was in the second 10 years. And there's a good reason for that, because we had our worst recession occurred a few years ago, the Great Recession, if you will. And we're just coming out of that now. So it's been a rough time. But most of our population increase came from migration, people moving from other counties and other states to Sussex County. That trend actually has continued, but at a little slower pace in recent years. According to the Delaware Population Consortium, the projections of the population for Sussex is projected to continue to increase substantially. And I could get those numbers for you. I'd be able to research that. Okay, so prior to 2008, Sussex had very low unemployment rate. We had unemployment rates, actually in 2007, the unemployment rate was just 3.4%. And for the prior 15 years from that point, the rate was in the 3 to 4% range. It never was above 5%. And like other things, like other areas, things began to change in 2008 due to the recession. And the unemployment rate, actually by 2010, 2009 and 2010, as you can see here, the rate was up to 7.9%. And this year, we don't have the full set of numbers available, but for the first part of the year, 3/4 of the year, the rate averaged about 7.2%, the same as Delaware, and still a little lower than the U.S. rate of 7.6%. So what's disturbing is that the U.S. rate, the U.S. rate came down faster than our rate has. So hopefully in the future, in next year, things will be a little bit better. And as far as job growth, we had a couple years where we didn't have much job growth. 2013 looks like we'll have an increase of about 1.6%. And we had gains for poultry processing, retail trade, professional and business services, health services, education, leisure and hospitality. Now it's interesting that many of our panelists today and speakers came from industries that fit in here. For example, leisure and hospitality could include, Dogfish is actually a beverage maker, but they also have the restaurants, and now they're going to have an hotel. So that's leisure and hospitality. Wawa's in retail trade, and I could go on. And we had students from the educational community. We have we have seen growth in our educational system, both not only at the elementary and secondary, but also at the post-secondary level, which is important. Those are good jobs, and also they prepare our workforce for the future, so it's very, very important. One of the really positive things that I see right now is that the real estate and construction sectors have had an increase in jobs. And usually, because I came out of the Department of Labor, I usually kind of focus on job creation, so that's kind of my background. But, and I'll talk a little bit about that more in the future. Poultry processing, of course, is linked to our agricultural sector. And did you know that Sussex County is the #1 producer in the country, #1 county in terms of producing broilers? And we've talked about that in past years, but that's really amazing. Out of all the counties in the U.S., that's really impressive. It's been like that for many years. Tourism, we talked about tourism today. It's one of our major industries. And tourism certainly added to our job growth for this year, 1.6%. And now the key industries in tourism, the major industries are retail trade and also leisure and hospitality. So you have stores and shopping centers and places like that, convenience food stores even. And you have leisure and hospitality would include movie theaters, golf courses, motels, hotels, and recreational facilities. It's fairly broad-based. And more, our tourism industry is extending more than just during the summer months. It's kind of lasting into the fall and actually coming back early in the spring. Well, real estate we mentioned, and certainly we've seen some impressive gains this year. I had reviewed reports and data from the Sussex County Association of Realtors, and they have quarterly newsletters that come out, and I've seen increases for quite a few of the last quarters, and I wanted to focus on the most recent two. During the second quarter of 2013, there was a 37% rise from a year ago. And in the third quarter, 2013, single-family home sales were up 21% over 2012. This is a huge increase compared to where we were. The housing market had really suffered for a few years there. Prices overall were mixed, but actually I think they were mostly up. Now, another thing to look at, and I have a chart in my main presentation, which is kind of neat. It goes back many years, and it shows building permits for single-family homes. And it comes out of I get it off of, well, it's census data, but it comes, you can get it through the Delaware State Housing Group. And it's actually been rising. The annual numbers have been rising for the last 3 or 4 years, I believe. And for this year, if the trends continue, it'll be up by about 24%. So that's really a good thing. And Sussex, for many years, has continued to lead the other counties in terms of housing production. So real estate and housing are huge for our economy. If you see a continued turnaround, it's going to be huge for not only that segment, but for many industries as well. Well, as we mentioned, the median age in Sussex County is much higher than other areas. And the growing number of retirees will create demand for more jobs, especially in health services and various service industries. So, and we focused on education and training and recruitment this morning. We need to cultivate our younger persons to kind of take and fill the jobs that the senior population used to fill. As the conference theme has illustrated, people are most valuable, our most valuable assets. So with that in mind, let's keep Sussex a step ahead. Thank you.
All right, we're at the end, and we're 6 minutes late. Is that your fault or our fault? Yeah, I think it may be all the talking, but we, all of us who planned the conference, want to say thank you to you. You make this special, and thank you to the wonderful presenters, our panelists, who I think did a tremendous job. I need to leave you with 3 points. Okay, first, evaluation. We listen to what you say. Next year's conference is a clean slate. We need a topic, and you have an opportunity to tell us what we need to develop. So we believe we have emails from all of you except 20 in the room. And if we have your email, you received an email from us while you were sitting here with SurveyMonkey. And you can go back and answer that, and we can hear your feedback. We want to know what we did well, what we didn't do well, and what you want to see us do in the future. If you didn't give us your email, please do a handwritten one, and there will be a team member here by the door ready to hand you a survey. You got to do that. Promise to do it online or do it on paper in order to get lunch. And that's the next number 2. I think lunch is out here, and you can take it to go, or you can eat back in here. Our panelists will be back in the room. If you want to ask what you didn't get to ask, come back and eat here. And third, a favor. We need your help to keep 1 million cups going. We need you to come on Wednesday at 9 o'clock, and we need you to identify the entrepreneurs. They can apply right on the website, but you know people out there with great ideas. We want to put them here, and we want to talk with them, and we want to ask them that question. How can we as a community support you? That concludes our 2013 conference. I hope you got as much out of it as I did. Thank you very much on behalf of all of us.